Back in a snap, it's the Fixed Ops Roundtable Automotive Avengers event.
Suit up for the spectacular student panel from our pop-up at Northwood University.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sophie Jordan Collins, along with Sarah Van Tyne, and we're here at our Northwood University student panel. Students, I'm going to ask if we can go down the line and you say your name, your major, and where you're from. If we want to start with you, Sam?
Yeah. My name is Sam Hoxwell. I'm an automotive aftermarket management major, and I'm from Lake Orion, Michigan.
I'm Austin Leverage. I'm a marketing communications major with a minor in data analytics, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
I'm Anna Gonzalez. I'm a major in marketing communications with a minor in accounting, and I'm from Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Thank you all for being part of this today. It's really exciting to see everything that's going on at Northwood University, and it's especially exciting to see the student involvement in the auto show and the volunteer efforts that y'all are doing. Sam, I'd like to start with you on this question, but what has it been like for you as a student at Northwood, and how is this experience really helping your major and your studies?
Yeah, I think Northwood does a great job in the automotive industry. You know, that's my major. It's automotive aftermarket. So they really do a lot. I mean, we're here at the auto show. You see how big it is. You see the student involvement and just what, Northwood students can really do and what kind of show they can put on. It's amazing every year. And, I'm a senior now, so I've seen 4 of them. And I've never been disappointed. So, it's just really the personal responsibility and how Northwood pushes you to be great.
Austin, I'd love to hear your take as well. So how has Northwood been in your student experience?
Yeah, to kind of go off Sam, the auto show, just the student involvement is so great. And just this hands-on experience that you get here at the Northwood University, it's pretty much second to none to any state, at least in the state of Michigan, and I think throughout the country. The professors, the faculty, they all want you to be successful, and that hands-on experience, like the auto show, for example, is just something special about Northwood.
Anna, how is Northwood your student experience been?
So for me, my biggest thing that I always put Northwood at the top is that being able to connect to our professors and always being able to reach out to the higher ups, like our dealerships, because we are all throughout the auto show, and just being able to build that one-on-one connection, still reaching out. Even after the auto show, I'm still very close with some of them. And so I just think that Northwood does a very good job on it's not what you know, it's who you know. And Northwood does a very good job at putting that forward for us students.
So with so many different colleges and universities out there, why did y'all decide to come to Northwood?
Really, I just think it's Northwood's values. I was raised in a Northwood alumni household, so I kind of understand what Northwood stands for. Coming from even when they were an institute, for people watching that remember that. Just kind of the values that Northwood holds. It's personal responsibility, it's free enterprise, and it's getting out and being a go-getter, being a leader, and I really think it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, for me, so I also play on the men's soccer team here, so sports was one reason why I came up here. But again, the preparing students like myself, Sam, and Anna here for the real world is something that Northwood does a really good job in. I feel confident in the education I'm getting and the experiences that I'm getting to help me move forward towards my career.
Yeah, so piggybacking off of both of them, I'm actually a first-generation college student, so this is all new for me and my family, and being able to just stand up for my family and just support me, and then also myself was great, and I think Northwood did a very good job with that. They're very family-oriented. because Northwood is so small, all of the students also jokingly call us family because we're always together. We're always spending time. And that was my biggest thing for me because at the end of the day, when I leave Northwood, I just still want to have the great connections with my friends, my family still always being able to come back and just always continue the ongoing relationships, even going forward.
I love how you all drew in the combination of connection and the opportunity that you have here with Northwood. And just thinking about Northwood's philosophies. So one of the ideas that Northwood really puts forth are values on freedom, the personal responsibility, and also the enterprise opportunity. Sam, I'll start with you, but how has Northwood's philosophy really shaped your areas of focus and study?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, like coming in as a freshman, I can't say I'm the same person as I am now. And really, I think a great example is the auto show. I mean, Northwood doesn't make you participate. They don't make anybody be a captain. It's not forced. You don't get credit in a class for doing it. Yet you walk outside and you see what the students put on. I think that really shapes personal responsibility at its best. And it's just amazing what these students can do. And it's great because they want to be doing it. And like I said, it comes back to personal responsibility and just nobody's going to make you, yet we do it every year. And I think that speaks for itself, really.
Yeah, I mean, Sam kind of hit it on the head. With personal responsibility, you know, we're the next leaders in this business world. And, you know, being at a business school, they definitely do what they need to do in terms of what the professors are teaching in their classes on getting you ready. So when you step foot into corporate America, you know, you have learned everything that you need to do from a character standpoint to carry yourself and hopefully inspire others around you to, you know, be successful.
Yeah, so my father's an entrepreneur, so I always loved the personal responsibility that Northwood has given us and just being able to continue it into college. Although I really enjoy the freedom that Northwood gives us, I know that is one of the values that we also stand for here. And I just think that, again, with the auto show, I'm a team captain this year, and I was able to design my whole booth by myself the way I wanted to. And everyone has been complimenting me, and I very much take that in so much for granted because just being able to have the freedom of my choice to be able to create something that I wanted to do, and then in the end, everyone ends up loving it. It just makes me feel happy.
So one of Northwood's missions is to develop the next generation of future leaders, similar to what you were saying, Austin. I'm curious, how do y'all plan on taking what you've learned here in order to build successful careers later on?
I mean, yeah, just like taking what I've learned. I mean, I've been a team captain for 3 years. I have a team. I have to lead them. Some people do better than others, but you know, you build those skills. And really through Northwood, I've gone on countless trips to automotive events, SEMA being one of them. And for one I went down to in Texas, I was the lead intern there. I mean, looking over 18 other interns. So I had 18 other Northwood students that I was looking over for that week. And I mean, I think it goes without saying it's experience and how much they put you out in an uncomfortable situation and whether or not you can adapt. I think that's really what makes a good leader, and just having the experience to tell them what they need to do, but also giving them the freedom to kind of give them some creative freedom on what they want to do and hoping that it turns out well, and most of the time it does.
Yeah, I mean, just the different events and everything that I've been involved with here on campus, you know, they're definitely preparing me and giving me that real world experience. And again, Northwood does a really good job in terms of giving students opportunities, no matter whether it's in the auto show or any other club and organization you're on campus. That real world aspect definitely is something special. And I know that when I leave here, you know, I'm the best prepared. All our professors that we have, they've been in the business industry, been in our shoes, have experienced what we're going to experience. So they've been able to give us firsthand knowledge on, all right, this is what went wrong. This is how we fixed it. This is, you know, how we handle adversity in this situation. So again, that real world aspect and that firsthand personal experience is definitely something special.
Yeah, so like Austin was saying, I think being able to make mistakes here at Northwood is something that all of us have done. And I think that eventually we learn from the mistakes. And then once we get out into the real world, that we are able to adjust ourselves and adapt to like the business world that we are going to be in and joining soon. And I just think that being able to be here making the mistakes is like a learning course, if you will.
Well, it is so fantastic to hear all of your stories and how Northwood has really impacted you and your student experience and then your ongoing professional opportunities once you graduate. So on behalf of Teddings and the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you all for being part of our segment today. Everyone stay tuned. We have some more exciting segments coming up next on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. You don't want to miss them.
You might have noticed that the Fixed Ops Roundtable is on the move, and that's because we are now hosting pop-up events. We are on our way to a dealership near you with spontaneous events in amazing dealership spaces to highlight the hardworking people in retail service, parts, and dealership-wide. Stay up to date with where we are headed next by following the Fixed Ops Roundtable on social media.
Unlock your service department's phone potential with CarWars up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It is a great honor to welcome back our good friends from CarWars. Connor Van Hemert is here with the 6 mistakes your fixed ops department makes in call routing. Connor, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thanks for having us on. We are so excited to be here. We're excited to talk about the villains that are stealing the hours from your service department. So we are all in. We love your stuff, and we're super excited and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
We've had a lot of your dealers on, Connor, who utilize CarWars. It's extremely effective, and congratulations to you on all the success that you're having in the market. I will tell our audience that CarWars, I know, is all about optimizing telephone performance. And Connor, as you and I were talking about in the green room, the phones are probably the #1 topic at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and arming dealerships with the metrics they need to proactively improve those call outcomes. So a little bit today about maintaining a high performance service department and the importance of the phone in fixed ops. And Connor, there's a lot here to unpack. I know that.
That's right. That's right. And it's been, it's so much fun getting to work with dealers and talk about the phone. Yeah, I never dreamed that when I grew up, I wanted it to be the guy who talks about the phones and phone performance. But we love it so much, and we love auto dealers. And there is a huge opportunity we have to step up and help our dealer partners make a difference in their communities, and that all starts with customer service and how we're treating our customers when they call into us. And it goes beyond just a phone routing thing. It's a culture thing at the dealership. But typically what we'll find is there's a few key mistakes here. We're 6 mistakes that we kind of miss. We kind of miss the boat on sometimes, and it causes these symptoms of low CSI scores or missing opportunities for lifetime customers. I'll tell a couple stories about that as well. But these are the big things that, and it's kind of back to the basics with COVID and all these things that have happened. There's been so much that has changed, but there's also been so much of the fundamentals that have become more important and have actually risen in terms of we have to do the basic things right.
It's amazing with all the technology, Connor, in the marketplace, how many of us, myself included, still use the phone when we contact the dealership because we want to speak to somebody. And I know there's statistics out there. I know you have the metrics. I'm not sure what percentage of calls actually connects with the average service department? I'm not sure if you know that number, but there's got to be a big opportunity there.
It's not good. It's not a good number, that's for sure. No, the average dealership is connecting under 50% of their phone calls. Wow. And that actually goes for variable ops as well. And so it is a huge problem that's plaguing dealerships. And sometimes, like you said, we're actually seeing an increase in the number of phone calls that dealerships are getting. So it's getting more and more difficult to overcome these challenges. Let's talk about the 6 villains.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's time. And in the Avengers theme, there are villains that are stealing hours, and a lot of those hours are stolen before the customer even gets into the dealership.
That's right. That's exactly right, Ted. And the villains here are taking time, and what we see is when we can invest in the right tools and the right processes, which takes more time. To do that, we're already having all this time stolen, and I'm asking for more time. I'm asking for an investment in more time, but what that investment brings forth, gaining more time later. And so that's what we're looking at. The first, Ted, the first villain that we look at that steals time from our fixed ops departments is the lack of a phone bridge. And what I mean by that is the press 1 for sales and 2 for service. A lot of dealers say, Connor, you know what? We don't want that. I don't want a robot or AI or anything else talking to my customers. I'm just a dude from Arkansas, right? Like I completely understand exactly what you're talking about. The last thing we want is for anybody to go through a long, complicated phone tree or phone bridge or AI that doesn't work and it be a very bad experience. That is not what we're looking for. What we have seen is a well thought phone bridge can be a tool to not only get the customer answered. We don't want to talk about answering phone calls. We want to get away from that. Answering phone calls is great. When the receptionist answers a phone call, that's fine. That's great. But is that really what the customer's hoping to do, is to talk to the receptionist? Probably not. And again, we're talking about stealing hours. There's probably something more effective we could have that person doing. I call them the director of first impressions. That's what we refer to them at CarWars as. They're not a receptionist, they're the director of first impressions. We could have our director of first impressions be doing something much more valuable than directing a phone call to a department. So we want to automate that piece of it. We want a very simple automation, and we want to get the people to someone that can answer their question. We call that connecting. So a phone bridge is the first piece that is really, really important in terms of putting time back in your team's day.
Sure. Makes a lot of sense.
If without that, we're either having a human do it, which again, I think we can agree there's probably more valuable time spent there, or we're a bad phone bridge is going to get people to the wrong place, which is going to cost everybody more time. And so a really good process outlined here is going to be really effective. It's going to be really effective in getting people connected with the right agent. The second one is no fallback routing in place. And what I mean by this is when you're ringing somebody, let's say that you're calling to schedule an appointment and that's ringing to the service advisors and they're all busy. There needs to be a backup plan. We need to have a plan. We know our advisors are going to be busy. We know that. It's not a surprise. We know that we're talking about their time being stolen here. We know that they're very busy. So what's the fallback plan? If they're going to a BDC, if somebody's out or they're on a break, what happens? What's the fallback plan? That's the second piece.
Makes sense.
The third piece is the lack of a warm transfer process. And this is what this sounds. Typically, when you call in a dealership, it typically sounds, something like this. Hey, can I call for service? Yeah, sure. Hang on a second. And it's like, I have no idea where it's like, imagine if you walked in the dealership and you were looking for somebody. And I said, hey, I'm looking for Ted. Could you take me to Ted? And they're just like, oh, yeah, he's back over there around the corner, third office on the left.
And then you start over, right? There's no introduction. And we've talked about a warm transfer for years, Connor, in this industry. And it's amazing we're still talking about it today.
It is amazing, but it's not an easy thing to do. It is time consuming, but it creates this customer experience. And I talk a lot about the fast food industry, just being somewhere like you generally don't like going to a fast food restaurant, right? Like you go to McDonald's, the speaker box is too loud or it's too quiet. You might as well order what you don't want because whatever you order, you're not going to get it, right? And then Chick-fil-A comes along and has this process where they invest a bunch of time with you. They ask you your name. I don't even know why that matters, but it sure makes me feel special whenever they say, "Hey, Connor, I have your order." And they've elevated that experience from something that you dread to something that you kind of get excited about. Yeah. And I think we have the same opportunity, especially in fixed ops. No one wants to get their car worked on. No one wants to go part of that process, but we have an opportunity to elevate that experience that we're going to create customers for life. And I think the warm transfer process is just the beginning of it. That's just the first step that we can do to make people feel that difference of, "Hey, Connor, I'm glad you're here today."
It makes a lot of sense. Chick-fil-A never says the term "no problem." What do they say? They say "my pleasure."
My pleasure.
Right? So
that's right. Yeah, and it's just like, no way it's your pleasure to go get me extra sauce. That's just such a weird, but it makes you feel special. And I think we have the same opportunity. Typically, getting your car service is not something that we look forward to. I think we have an opportunity to change that experience and know that, hey, we're going to make this an experience that people aren't going to forget. The fourth one here is no individual agent lines for calls and texts. And this is important. We're talking about personalization, and there needs to be a way to work with you want to work with an advisor. These are typically very expensive. I had to replace my transmission last year. I mean, talk about expensive, right? And when I'm able to talk with someone specifically, they're able to guide, they're advisors. They're not fixers. We're going to them for advice. As a customer, I'm coming to you for advice. I need you to not only tell me what's wrong with my car, but the best way to fix it. And that's having an individual agent line where they have one number that you call and text. It makes it feel like you're interacting with a human. And there's so much good technology out there where we can send text and we can do phone calls and all these things. But when those don't work together and those don't talk, you're getting text from one number and phone calls from a different number. It just creates this confusing experience. Who am I supposed to talk to? If I call this number, it goes to one person. If I call this number, it goes to somebody else. And it just creates a really confusing experience. Number 5 correlates with number 2, with number 1. And that's just too many sub-bridge and bridge options. Sometimes we make it too complicated. And we do want to get people specifically to the team that can help. But we've also all been through a phone tree that takes 8 years to get through. And you're like, I'm not even sure which option I need to choose.
And heaven forbid you have to start over, right?
Right. Yeah, I choose the wrong option. I did that the other day. I chose the wrong option. I was like, no, I have to go back. I have to go back to the main menu. Restart the whole process. And I'm like, all right, don't press number 2. Don't press number 2. And so that is having it be too complicated is something else that can be a problem. And the last piece is no intelligent call routing in place. I think this kind of goes back to what we're talking about with individual agent lines. The technology is now out there that when a customer calls in, you can funnel those calls to the agent that was helping them, no matter what number they call in on. And so there's things here that, again, it's all about efficiency, the efficiency of time. And when you're working with Alan in service, it's nice that whenever you call the dealership, no matter what dealership you call, Alan has the first opportunity to answer that phone call. And if Alan can't answer it, whoever does answer it should have the insight of your interactions with Alan and be able to see where everything's going, where the status of your vehicle is, all those things. Those need to be in front of everybody. Everybody needs to have quick access to that. And that's really important. I think all of this speaks to something a little bit bigger than these individual villains that are taking the time away from our service departments. It speaks to not only do we have to have the tools, but you can hear the intent in which we're using them and the culture in which they go into. And when we have that culture, that how can I help you mentality, that Chick-fil-A mentality of service, and we're going to elevate it, including our language. That you mentioned that is a really nice point. They even elevate their language to give you better service.
So, Connor, if I'm a dealer watching this today, or a manager, fixed ops director, and if I had to choose one or two of these routing villains, if you will, to go to battle with first, what do you think would be the low-hanging fruit?
I think the lowest hanging fruit is number one, and making sure not only that you have a phone bridge, but it's ringing to the mystery shop your own store, and make sure that you're creating the experience that you want it to. I think the second one is number three. I think the warm transfer and the how can I help you mentality of your staff, and understanding that when I service these people, they're going to thank us with their dollars. You know, my dad had a bad service experience. He drives a Chevy truck. He had a bad service experience. We live in a small town in Arkansas. He drives past the Chevy dealership and goes and gets his tires at a Ford dealership. There's not a lot of guys that that are driving their Chevy truck to the Ford dealership because of a bad phone experience, but that's exactly what happened. That's how important this is. These are lifetime customers that are living in your area.
Well, so Connor, CarWars specializes in the phones. You have deep history in the phones and working with dealers successfully and doing that for a long time. Okay. So if there are dealers in our audience who want to take advantage of some of the things that CarWars can help offer, which we've seen a lot of here in the Fixed Ops Roundtable, what's the next step? How do I reach out to you? How do I get more information on CarWars?
Yeah, talk to me. You've got my email here. It's my initials, CVH at CarWars. You can also email our marketing team at content@CarWars. Well, they'll connect you with me. My cell phone is on the bottom here. You give me a call or text, and I'd be happy to talk with you, share with you what other dealers that are doing is effective, and look at your store specifically and see if there's a way that we can serve you or just help you optimize your processes.
And if you've got your phone camera open, everybody, you can go ahead and you could zoom in on that QR code, and that will take you right to CarWars. And I think they even got something special on there to get a demo of how CarWars service works. And I've seen it. It looks great. And there's some incentive there to do that here shortly. So, Connor, great information. And you know what? It really does come back to that phone tree and all the things stemming from that, if you will, that are really things dealers need to identify. And you had a great point in talking about culture. Call your own store and see the level of difficulty or ease that it is to get through to somebody. So
yeah, inspect what you expect. That's right.
So Connor, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you so much in bringing this information to us, and great honor to have you and CarWars with us here today.
Thank you, Ted. Again, we love what you're doing. We love your content. So we are big fans. Thank you again for having us. The honor is ours.
Everybody, Connor from CarWars here today with us at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. What's that? You wish you looked this good? Well, I'll tell you my secret. CarWars has taught me how to be crisp on the phone. I'm more confident, sales have skyrocketed, and I'm glowing. Don't believe me? Just ask my manager, Mike.
I mean, look at this, look at this. This is what his sales were like before Crisp and after. Every time I log into CarWars, his results speak for themselves. Plus, every call has been reviewed, summarized, and assigned to an agent on our team automatically. It saves me so much time, I don't even know what to do with myself anymore.
See what I mean? I'm on fire.
Billy, who are you talking to?
Oh, hey, Sam. How's it going in service?
Well, we have been flooded with calls
Yep.
and
I think it's time for you to get crisp.
What is this stuff?
It's a complete phone skills makeover. Chris focused on 4 key aspects: connect, request invite, set, and pursue.
Wow, we really need that.
Yeah, you do. CarWars Sales has helped us build a culture of phone accountability. We're capturing more leads and actually finding KPIs that matter to us, which in turn has boosted revenue and has lifted our bottom line.
Where do I sign up?
Right here. CarWars will make sure sales and service are ready to own the phone. With artificial intelligence, detailed reporting, and a virtual phone training program, CarWars will quickly get your team up to speed. And who knows, maybe one day it'll be your face on a bag of chips.
Team up with our next speakers, Peter Carusone of VisonAST and Jeremy Stevens.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Pete Carusone is with us. He has a company called VisonAST. He's the president of that company, taking the industry by storm, doing a whole lot in checking our metrics. And also with us today is another great friend, Jeremy Stevens. He's the fixed operations director in North Carolina at Heister Automotive Group. Pete and Jeremy, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy, we talk about this quite a bit, technician efficiency and, tracking that. And, I know you are certainly somebody on top of all that in terms of what's happening in retail at your dealerships.
It is. And I was thinking when we were talking earlier and when I was a technician, I didn't have all these distractions and, the cell phones and TikTok and YouTube videos. So it's a whole different world now. Cause I didn't even have a cell phone. We had to walk up to the main line at the end of the shop and, they paged over the intercom that said, hey, so-and-so, you got a phone call on this one. So it's a totally different environment now with just technology and stuff. So the distractions are just limitless right now for sure.
That's a good point. It's both a blessing and it's a distraction in this as well. And Pete, you're on top of it, okay, with the numbers that you're tracking, both on the front end and in fixed operations around the country. Pete, what are you seeing as you look around the country and work with dealers on the fixed op space?
I'm certainly seeing the renewed focus on parts and service and the importance it plays in dealership profitability. Obviously, the last couple of years during the pandemic, it was easy to make money in variable operations and service was what it was. But I also watched a lot of the really sharp operators tune up their service departments during that time, almost in anticipation of it needing to be strong, knowing that it was just not going to last, that those profit margins on the front end weren't going to last forever. So the sharp guys are as sharp as ever, using the tools like ours to really make sure they stay on top of their numbers and train their people. And I think it's a great time to be in the car business, and both front and back end, but certainly in parts and service, and watching guys really put systems and processes in place and use metrics to, measure what they expect and train their people to be professionals and have lifelong careers.
Pete, you've got a great set of tools in VisonAST. Jeremy, I noticed as I talk to fixed ops directors throughout the country that they monitor these metrics every day. And it's a ritual no matter what. Every morning they're looking at this and they're looking at all these numbers to be able to hold people accountable, and kind of want to talk to you about that a little bit today. One of the things that we know is that technician efficiency varies greatly by skill level. Do you want to maybe elaborate a little bit on that and maybe how that relates to the metrics?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a huge range of technicians now. Everybody knows we have a lot of generations working in one store. We have 18-year-olds to 60-year-old technicians, and everybody's skills level's different. some people like to work on engines, and some people can't stand to work on engines. They much rather do electrical. So you have all this stuff stacked on you and trying to delegate and get the right person for the right job. But then also, part of being, a manager and a leadership is build that relationship with your technicians so their strengths and weaknesses. We had a conversation, with, I have so many different techs where I could give them 3 jobs at one time and they're fine with it. They can get it. I don't have to worry about it. But then if I do that with someone else, it freaks them out. They can I don't know where to start at, or you give them a ticket with 10 concerns on it and they're just clueless on, how to start, where to get moving and that stuff. So it's a lot of variables on this for sure.
Jeremy, why is it important to be able to track metrics, and be able to hold people accountable, and how this all comes into play with the various skill levels that you see out there in the real world?
Well, the reason we track is because I want all our technicians to go home just like they know they did a good job, and not to use it as a weapon or something like that, but it's just an indicator that says, hey, this guy needs some help. And let's go figure out how to help him before 5 o'clock rolls around when it's too late. But let's see what we can do to help him. And usually he's either, he may have something going, he or she may have something going on, in their personal life, or it may be just a car that's, kicking their rear end that they just need a little bit of help to overcome that. And then they can get going again. Because in the dealership world, the month goes by so fast, and we had the best intentions going in, but then, I'm looking at it's like the month gets away from you so stinking fast, and it's like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, and you're too late at that point.
Pete, is that how you utilize VisonAST with the metrics there, more as a coaching tool, to help the folks in fixed ops?
Yeah, certainly. It's not effective if it's everyone's enemy and they fear what it's going to tell them. And I think, as Jeremy referenced, relationships and how important that is in coaching and training. And when you're looking at metrics to tell a story or paint a picture or identify an opportunity to improve, it's the numbers. It's not a criticism. It's not a personality issue. It's here's what's happening. How do we fix it together? And that's where the numbers really come in play, is to take out the emotional part of it and any personal feelings or potential perceived animosities. And it's just, we're dealing with facts here, and you're good at what you do. How do we make you better?
And Pete, I know that what you're very good at as well is breaking it down and, helping to set up something I know that Jeremy believes in, is setting weekly goals and breaking that down to daily flagged hours. Jeremy, talk about why that's important on your end out of the dealership to be able to do that.
So we do it just because you have, like I said, you got different technicians. You got some of them that just want to wait till the end of the pay period and fuss about their hours, but we just want to have a head start, because I'd much rather take off running out the gate. It's like, hey, let's just get your hours in the first couple of days, and everything else is icing on the cake. And what it does, it kind of creates momentum, because we have this tracking board in all our shops, and it's crazy. It's like you'll see them stand. They want you to, they want to be proud of their numbers, and when you start posting these numbers, they feel like they've accomplished it. It's like they stand a little bit taller in the shop. Now, if it's the other way around, then they want their numbers. Nobody really wants to lose. And I'm a firm believer in that. I believe everybody has just something that they want to achieve and they want to win. And then it's just, if they have low hours, then that's our indicator. It's like, hey, this guy needs some help. Let's see what I can take to get him back on track, so he's not freaking out about his paycheck at the end of the week.
Pete, I know I've heard that what gets measured gets better, okay, and holds people accountable. How do you do it at VisonAST? What are some of the things that you track? How do you track it? How do you help dealers and managers and folks in fixed ops, hold others accountable and use it as coaching tools?
Yeah, so, leaderboards are important. I know Jeremy has a leaderboard, and it depends. You can show, we have dozens of metrics, some traditional, some of the more hour-based metrics. What we do, I think, is interesting, particularly in larger groups, is we're pulling data every hour. So, that big job finally gets closed. Tech can see the impact on their numbers, or a writer can see the impact on their numbers midday, and push them through the end of the second half of the day. and not wait for the end of the week to see where they stand. And again, that competition, like Jeremy said, everyone wants to win. So having that visibility drives so much performance just out of human nature before you even get into the coaching and the training part of stuff. Of all the things we're doing, one of the things that really excites me is we have what I call a pacing widget on our dashboard. So a dealer can plug in the number of working days in a month, set a goal, and it'll break down all your metrics, where you're performing against that goal by day, where you need to be per day versus where you are currently per day, and then every metric that are impacting that number. So you can say, okay, we're doing great, except clearly it's our effective labor rate's killing us for some reason. Let's focus on that. If that were where it normally is, we'd be ahead of our pace. So that one's been exciting, and that kind of keeps everyone going and honest and on track, by the hour.
Jeremy, you mentioned earlier in the conversation the distractions we have today in the dealership, things that you and I didn't have years ago, okay? But now it's a part of everyday life, right? And, those distractions, cause a lot of folks, technicians included, to feel overwhelmed, okay? And, talk to us about the need for daily management to help set them up for success, including, being aware of these metrics, like Pete's saying, in real time.
So it's real important. So we find better success when we just kind of do just one-on-one with each technician. We'll pull them to the side and I'm very transparent. We have here at our Houston Automotive Group, we have core values, and one of them is loves people, and it's our job to make our employees great. And part of that is sometimes I need to pull them aside and really tell them an honest assessment of things they're doing great and things they need to improve on. And a lot of times we pull them together and it's like, hey, you spend an awful lot of time just leaning on your toolbox, and I don't know what you're doing, but from my side, I feel like you're just watching YouTube videos. And then mentally it'll like tag it in their head, and it's like, oh shoot, I probably do, but it's such a habit they don't even realize it. And then the next thing you know, it's like, okay, so he's more assertive, and and plus he knows you're watching at this point also. But a lot of people have this habit, and they just don't realize, that they're looking at their phone for excessive time, because I don't know if y'all ever stroll through Instagram and next thing you know, you've wasted 15 minutes watching crazy videos. It's like, oh shoot, I just wasted all this time. And you thought it was only 2 or 3 minutes. And next thing you know, you've wasted a lot of times on that. So just that one-on-one engagement, just, being open about it, and just trying to work it on from that side of it.
Pete, do you help dealerships and fixed ops directors like Jeremy and, many of the other great ones as well, like him? Do you help them with, how to coach and how to hold people accountable and help set their people up for success, setting them up for success as well?
We do. What we try to do is every time we make a call, we do follow-up calls regularly just to see how things are going. Are you using the platform effectively, or anything we could help you with? We try to spot 1 or 2 opportunities we see, not only based on our knowledge, or it could be that they've been with us long enough that we've seen a trend in the wrong direction or in the right direction for that matter. Also, we do quarterly benchmarks industry-wide using our whole book of business. So we'll share that with our clients and say, in your part of the country, here's what we're seeing. Let's compare those to your numbers. And, we don't call people out and put them on the spot, but we'll share the numbers and then, review it with them after and tell them, the trends we're seeing other places in the country, and why we think that is, or feedback we've gotten, and try to share, almost create like a 20 group atmosphere using our book of business and the data that's available to us.
Wow. Jeremy, what about things like, we hear the term so often, bottlenecks. I just did a big panel on the reconditioning process, and there's a lot of bottlenecks in reconditioning in particular. But what about the sources of those parts when they're back ordered? Things that we may not be able to control. The parts counter, the service drive early morning, everybody shows up at one time, even though they have appointments staggered throughout the morning. And even technology when it's not integrated or streamlined.
Yeah, and the technology is like the first thing I'll jump on, because a lot of times we spend a lot of money in software, and I feel like everybody I talk to, we only use maybe 30 or 40% of it. And it drives me bad because it's like, this is really to save time. And, and it's hard to get everybody on the same page. But once you do, then you lose a lot of those bottlenecks. Just like, the old standard one, I interviewed a technician, and they still use paper ROs where they're going to the parts counter. And I can picture it where 3 or 4 guys are waiting at the parts counter, and it's just, it's a social hour. It's like the water cooler thing. And I love that, they have that relationship, but then at the end of the day, that's still wasting a lot of time, because now you times that by 3 technicians standing around with 2 parts guys. So it's important that we train on our guys, make sure you press all the buttons. Everybody's got to participate. And what happens is that once everybody does press the right buttons and, push it throughout the store, you have a lot of people that's able to stay in their seat and be more efficient. You don't have people wandering around, and you know how it is. It's like and the dealerships now are massive now, so there's a lot of walking space. So chances that he's going to go back there and talk to one technician, it's really not going to happen. It's going to stop 2 or 3 times, and the next thing you know, you could lose, hours a day just by not using the software. Because everybody has the early morning rush, and we had to add extra staff in the morning, just to keep that. Whether it's a porter just to keep the cars moving while the advisors get them written up, just little things like that to kind of keep it flowing on that side of it.
Pete, I know that your company, VisonAST, you're agile and you're fast moving, okay, as well. And, I've heard it said before that a lot of some of the big, software companies dealers subscribe to, they like Jeremy said, they only use a small fraction of what that system does. And they may even have forgotten or not be aware of things that their systems do. How does VisonAST help with these efficiencies and help throughout the dealership and help managers and leaders like Jeremy?
Yeah, one of the things I hear most often, particularly in fixed ops, are the amount of hours we can save a director like Jeremy, because they believe in the metrics. We pull some metrics, probably a broader array of metrics than any one dealer would. Everyone's got their preferences, so we're pretty broad in the number of metrics we pull. But most good operators have some process and some metrics that they pull out of their DMS and put in a spreadsheet and do a really good job of them, but it's time consuming. And, I think Jeremy's probably hardly ever in his office except when he's doing that. He's out there coaching and training like he's talked about. And that's the case with most good operators. So we save hours. I mean, that information's right at your fingertips. Even if you don't want to log into our platform, we send email delivery of all the reports to as many people, whether it's all your techs and writers and parts advisors and everybody, leadership at the dealership. Everyone can just have reports sent to their inbox. They don't even have to bother to log in. So you can know with certain that it's in front of everybody without anyone taking more than, a minute to even look at. You're just looking at the information. It's there for you. So that amount of time that is saved can then be used for more important things like coaching, training, and the thousands of other things that need to be done to run a shop every day.
Everybody, we're speaking today to Pete Carusone. He's the president of a company called VisonAST, and Jeremy Stevens, who's the fixed operations director at Heaster Automotive Group in North Carolina. Gentlemen, last question for today, and how the metrics enter into our future. Here we are, middle of November, looking out maybe, 6 weeks left in the year, something like that. And then before we know it, we're going to be in 2024. What are your recommendations? I'll start Jeremy first and then Pete to bring it home for the audience watching today, dealers, other fixed ops directors, managers, things that you recommend that we need to be on top of in terms of the metrics and following them, because the industry is changing rapidly. Pete, you and I were talking about it in the green room, and I think we're going to need to be more aware than ever before of metrics and how they affect our business on a day-to-day basis. Jeremy, first, your recommendations for your peers, and then to Pete.
It really starts with, the metrics, just your technicians producing hours. And that's normally where I go first. And then from that point, just make sure that advisors can sell those hours and, bouncing back and forth from those two numbers. And you'll find a lot of information just by going back and forth with those two numbers. And then also make sure everybody's pressing the buttons on the software, do a software inventory and make sure everybody knows how to use that. I switch ours up where they stop training all the employees and they just train the managers, so they understand it, so they can train it. That's helped out tremendously, but that's pretty much my recommendations.
And Jeremy, is that a daily activity?
It is. It's daily for about 3 months. And then 3 months, you kind of develop this habit, and then you just got to maintain it. So that's when you just I put calendar reminders once a week. It's like, hey, just spot check, make sure, this is being done right and this is being done right. So you just have to maintain it from that point.
Great advice, Jeremy. Pete.
Well, like Jeremy already mentioned the hours, and I know we've talked a ton about hours, and obviously incredibly important. I always kind of go back to team building and looking at efficiencies between personalities. I talked about taking the emotion out of things. Again, you can find a lot of opportunity based on just looking at numbers and techs working with advisors. And are there conflicts there? Are there trust issues, personality conflicts, perceived personality challenges where an advisor might not be selling work for some reason that's beyond the obvious, where you can spot those opportunities quickly with the data and then address those and build stronger teams and, eliminate some of those barriers that are invisible. You don't even know are there until you start really digging into the numbers and they jump out at you once you do, and then you can address them one at a time. And there's a lot of efficiency there that I think it's overlooked. We look at the individual, but it's a team. Are you looking at how the team's working as a whole, as a whole unit? And I always think that's a very important place to spend some of your time.
Everybody, VisonAST is amazing software that's available now for dealers. Some of the best dealers in the nation use it. Pete Carusone is the president of that company, and he helps you spot those opportunities. And Pete, we're very grateful to you for all you do for our industry. And also amazing to see your growth over the last 4 or 5 years in all that you do in our industry. And Jeremy, you've become a powerhouse as well at the Roundtable, with all the things that you're involved with. So I want to thank both of you and wish you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving next week as well.
All right. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Ted. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Well, thank you. Pete, if we want to reach out for more information, our audience wants to learn more about the opportunities that VisonAST can help uncover, what's the best way to reach out and get a hold of?
Pete at VisonAST.com or just on our website at VisonAST.com. And my phone number is 518-375-2543.
Super, everybody. Best in the business, VisonAST. Pete Carusone has been working on this a long time and fine-tuning it and perfecting it, and it's the leader in the industry. Jeremy Stevens, thank you for all you do as well in fixed ops. Pete Carusone, everybody, and Jeremy Stevens here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you very much, Ted. Thanks, Jeremy. Good to see you.
Thank you.
If your dealership is leaking profits and you don't know why, you need more than data. You need VisonAST. VisonAST is a single solution analytics platform engineered to uncover critical information from your DMS. Using real-time data to drive profit from every department is what we do. And with VisonAST, just log in on any device and your KPIs are right at your fingertips. You can't manage what you can't measure. Take control of your dealership's profits with VisonAST.
The Fixed Ops Roundtable is excited to announce the launch of our new certified program. It is designed to recognize dealerships and partners that demonstrate exceptional performance. Learn more by visiting fixedopsroundtablecertified.com.
Learn about all the things Affinitiv does for fixed operations on the Affinitiv panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We're here today with Drew Faithfull from the PSD Automotive Group, first time at the Roundtable, and our great friend Jeff Jackson at Affinitive, one of the most respected companies in our auto industry. Drew and Jeff, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Great. Good to be here.
Drew, you're in my neck of the woods here in the Northeast. I'm in northern New Jersey. I'm about maybe half an hour west of Manhattan. Tell us about your group and where you're located and what franchises you've got and the lay of the land, if you will.
Sure. So I work for PSD Automotive. I am on Long Island, New York, so I'm close to you. In the Northeast, currently freezing. But I'm the owner loyalty manager here for Nissan. At Nissan of Huntington, and I am PSD Automotive's service BDC director. So I run the service departments for multiple stores throughout my automotive group, both here on Long Island and in Connecticut. And my automotive group actually functions in multiple states through multiple brands.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the Roundtable. And Jeff, how do you know Drew?
Well, Drew and I recently had some conversations about Affinitive and how he was using the tools, and kind of ended up with a pretty deep conversation about the service experience and retention and loyalty. The owner loyalty manager title is not one that every dealership per se has, but at the end of the day, I think there's somebody at every branch that's responsible for somewhat of that, right? You hear dealers and dealer principals and owners often complain about the one thing they can't control, they have no control of, the physical product, right? What is the new Camaro going to look like? Is the Mustang going to be four-door electric? Who knows, right? But what we were able to determine in a recent survey that I was looking at is that a customer that dislikes their vehicle but loves their service department is just as likely to repurchase from the same dealer as a customer that loves their car but only likes their service department. So you can see it's a clear, if I can get my customer to fall in love with my service department, the product instantly becomes a lot less important, and that they're going to continue to come to that dealership regardless of the Mustang having four doors or it's electric or the Camaro or whatever that new product comes out. You become a little less captive by the manufacturer, and it all goes back to the service experience, which is no surprise here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, right? We talk about it all the time.
That owner loyalty title, Drew, I would imagine you probably wear many hats in doing that, and you probably are under the umbrella of Fixed Ops, but probably variable as well in the dealer group.
Correct. So in Nissan corporate, there has to be in every Nissan store an owner loyalty manager. It's actually a requirement for the manufacturer for us to operate a Nissan dealership. And I feel it's very important for many reasons. So my foot is in many camps. I wear many hats here. I'm involved in the sales end and the service end, everything from purchase straight through every servicing experience. It's all about that retention, retaining the customers, not only here at our dealership, but within the brand as well. So I fully agree with Jeff with his statement there that as long as there's a strong service relationship, because let's be honest, we're dealing with people, right? And it all comes down to trust. So if the service department, who's going to have primarily the most amount of engagement with your customer from post-sale to potentially next sale, if that relationship is skewed in any way from the service department, is inevitably going to affect your sales department. But if that is a strong trust built within the service department, it will drive sales back to your dealership.
Wow. Well, you mentioned Nissan, and obviously it's important to them as a manufacturer, but how important is that service experience? Let's talk about your group, PSD Auto Group, and how are you meeting the growing demand of customer expectations? Because those are, the last couple of years, expectations have completely, gone crazy, for all of us in all industries, not just automotive, but how are you handling it there, Drew?
Well, we have found that, and it's true in every industry, and it's almost a statement that has been made throughout time, is you have to evolve with the times, and you have to involve what's currently happening in the world. We are an instant gratification society. We want to know what we want to know, and we want it now. So I always reference back to things like when you order from, let's say, Amazon or Domino's, right? You're going to get a tracker. As a customer, you want to know where that product is, when it's going to be arriving. You want to get a physical picture that's going to show that it's arrived at my house. Or when I'm ordering my pizza, I want to know the process and the steps of when that's going to get to my house or wherever I'm ordering it. So it's the same thing within the auto industry, especially when it comes to a customer's car. Now, let's be honest. Service department, many people get concerned, oh, it's going to be a big bill. It's going to be a long wait. I'm only here for this, and now I need that, right? So it really comes back down to trust and being transparent with the customer. So what we do here within my automotive group, with the big assistance of Affinitive with their tool of AutoLoop, is we provide the customer updates of everything straight from the time they arrive to the time that they leave. And then my job, being the owner loyalty manager as well, is to follow up to make sure that service met their needs and their requirements, ultimately their satisfaction. And we do that through texting. We do utilize mailers. We do send mailers out and email campaigns through Affinitive. They have a campaign where I probably use it 2 to 3 times a month, where I will send out an email campaign through Affinitive to highlight any programs or services or things that we're currently addressing or want to highlight within the service department. Their program really allows me, who's more of a numbers guy in a lot of ways, analytics. So they'll tell me if a customer clicked open this email, if they've interacted, if they've gone further, and then that caused them to schedule an appointment. That allows me then to tailor my advertisements and communications with my customers in the service department. And then beyond that comes through, like I said, the step from a customer either calling, texting, or self-scheduling themselves, because Affinitive offers us a link that goes on our website for them to schedule their own service if they prefer to do that either after hours or without engaging with a person on the other end, such as my service BDC staff. We allow them to text them, contact them, communicate them, your vehicle's here. Here is currently the pictures and the videos that we are showing the customer, because a lot of customers drop off and are at work and they want to know, this is truly, I do have a dirty air cabin filter. I do have brakes that are getting a little low. So we do send them videos and pictures to show them, to tell them why we're diagnosing it through the multi-point inspection the way it is. We provide them through text messages a link for them to pay for their services, so they don't necessarily need to come in the dealership to do that. And then it also comes when a customer, even if we haven't provided them with an update at the moment because we didn't have them an update at that time, a customer communicates very quickly with us with a text back, hey, just looking for an update. Do I need to get a ride or whatnot? And my dealership really believes in the policy of drop off your car. We will provide you with a loaner car if it meets those requirements. And then you go about your day and we will communicate with you seamlessly through text message and phone call, as well as email, on the updates and status of your vehicle. We are also always readily available to communicate with our customers, because as much as people like ready and now, we want our information at the moment. And we also still want that human component where a customer still wants to talk to a person, whether it be my service BDC staff, me as a manager, another service manager, or the advisor that's currently addressing their vehicle concerns.
Can I come back to you if I can on the pictures and videos?
Sure, of course.
How long have you been doing that, Drew? And how effective has that been in helping not only the experience, but getting approvals and getting them quicker from the customer by using those visuals?
Well, we've been doing it for at least 2 years now, and we have found that it has not only continued to engage, once again, that trust, which then ultimately returns to higher RO payments, as well as a higher CSI score when it comes to your surveys, which then ultimately leads to higher retention and eventually potentially a new purchase when a customer is ready to get out of that car and repurchase a new vehicle. So for about 2 years, and like I said, it comes back down to the trust aspect. A customer, I work in the service department and I still probably couldn't change my own brakes. I probably still wouldn't do my own oil. But if you're showing me a picture, if you're showing me that this is truly what's going on through a video, live time, I'm hearing my mechanic speak and explain the pricing, and then you're being followed up with an advisor to get further information in detail about what that would take to complete that job and cost, and the ways that we can help you pay for it, it's going to then take down all my concerns, all my walls. It's going to then make me probably say yes to get that service done, because the dealership is looking out for my best interest of my vehicle and ultimately my pocket, my bottom line. Once that trust is built, you have a higher retention rate, higher RO percentage coming out. And then, like I said, you retain that customer for potentially future purchases.
Jeff, I want to come back and circle to you on the RO tracker. Affinitive does a lot of these things in dealership, and I don't know if the entire dealer audience realizes how much Affinitive does. Talk to us about the RO tracker and how that's set up, and obviously very effective at Drew's group.
It's all automated through the MPI process. So the tool actually, as the technician or as it moves through the dispatch inside of the tool, you can set up the alerts and customize those alerts to go to the customers saying your vehicle is being pulled in and diagnosed or being looked at, or we're waiting for parts, and it will update the status as it goes automatically. So there's nothing that the advisor or technicians have to do. It just automatically happens, and we send links to the customers along the way that they can click on it. Just like Drew said, when you order a pizza, you can see that status move along. And so it really reduced the amount of inbound calls that you have for status checks, right? And it's not always, I don't need to know that the person is pulling my pizza out of the oven and putting it in the box. The fact that I know that they're getting my order ready, I don't need to know those super duper specifics. But if I can see progress on that chart of it moving along, it may stop a phone call from coming into the dealer and having to field that call. So that's the biggest thing, is making sure the customer feels like they're in control, that they know what's going on, even when there might not be something being generated from an advisor or a technician. Just automatically having that request go out and being able for the customer to click on it and see that in real time.
Drew, you probably have a lot of metrics that you follow and that you track there at the dealer group. How do you measure when you consider a customer is considered retained, if you will?
Well, there's two actually factors. There's one that comes directly from Nissan Corporate, which they do track through their DBS system, which allows me to know the retention of my customers based off of the amount of times a customer comes in, the year, make, and model of car. And even if they've gone actually elsewhere, Nissan will track if they've gone to other Nissan dealers. So there's one analytic tool from my actual manufacturer. But the one I use on a daily reference is actually the Affinitive Auto Loop. On their main dashboard page, it will show the amount of time that I have for a customer to return, the amount of visits I've had, and if a customer's actually been retained or missed opportunity. And I actually highlight that and look at that actually multiple points throughout the day, because one of my big, strong believing points and pushing points for Affinitive and Auto Loop is the constant interactive live time information that comes through. There's really no lag time that I have noticed. So when one of my sales guys will sell a car on the sales floor, that information is practically inputted almost immediately into the Affinitive Auto Loop system. So if that customer has any questions regarding their vehicle or servicing of their vehicle, or if there's something that was ordered for their car at a point of sale, I have that information up top, which then really takes and cuts back that phone conversations that Jeff was talking about. It also cuts back the questioning and the uncertainty of the customer of where they are on getting their vehicle's needs met from sales to service.
Drew, I'm thinking maybe 2 Fixed Ops roundtables back, Jeff Jackson was on a panel with Affinitive, and we talked about different types of communication and communication types and how to communicate with people. And we did it really based on, a younger generation, and then some of us who are in the little bit older generation. How do you go about determining what's the best way to communicate and what's best suited for each of your customers?
Well, I believe, like you said, there's all different types of generations, and like I said earlier in the thing, in this conversation, is you have to evolve with the times, right? So I have customers that have basic flip phones, to I have customers that have a computer basically in their hand, these up-to-date technology cell phones. So text message, let's be honest, in the world we're in, is the #1 way to communicate with our clientele. If I am in a meeting, between my Apple Watch to my cell phone, I'm probably going to check and read a text message. If I'm going to get a call and I'm not expecting a call from you, I'm going to let you go to voicemail, and maybe when I have a free moment in my day, I may listen to that. But so we always go text message first. Then when it comes to the older generations, and I still don't even mean necessarily older, because like I said, when I reference things like Domino's or Amazon, I'm still going to get a confirmation email from all of these providers when I order something. We through Affinitive and Auto Loop, we use their campaign. So I'm submitting, like I said, 2 to 3 times a month through Michael Hawk through Affinitive. We do our campaigns where I highlight our service products or even sales products that we are currently pushing within the dealership. So I am now making sure I have email communication, text communication, and then I do as my owner loyalty manager title, I then do follow-up phone conversations. And then finally, I do have customers that will open up a newspaper still and cut out coupons, right? So we will then go ahead and get those coupons and also then mail them as our mailers to these customers' houses. So between phone call, text message, email, and mailers, almost every avenue is touched and utilized, and mainly through the Affinitive software.
Jeff Jackson, Drew Faithfull's pretty good. Can we keep him here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm kind of surprised you ain't found him already, but I'm glad to be a portal.
I'm glad to be a part of it, guys.
Hey, this is a fantastic discussion. Everybody, we're speaking to Drew Faithfull. He's with the PSD Auto Group here in the Northeast. Jeff Jackson is the sales guru extraordinaire with Affinitive, one of the most respected companies in the country. Last question for you, Drew. Your tracking performance, your stores, your dealerships are in multiple states, multiple cities. We're talking about the lay of the land. It's, it's very populated here in the Northeast, in Long Island and Connecticut and up and down 95. How do you track the performance at your dealerships, again, with multiple brands as well?
Well, like I said, I'm going to shout out Affinitive and Autoloop again. I'm a big avid hiker, so I know we live in the dealership world. We practically live here, sleep and eat and breathe. And in our dealership worlds, holidays, weekends, nights, that doesn't matter. But when I do get a day off, I enjoy hiking. So one of the things, as long as I have cell reception, I'm able to log into the Affinitive Autoloop portal, their dashboard, and I'm able to, through a drop-down menu, I have all the stores that I have in their system as a drop-down menu where I can click in live time and see exactly if there's a walk-in, if there's an RO, what an RO is open or closed for, if there's a problem customer, if there's a missed appointment, if customers have engaged with our emails that we have sent out and text messages that we have sent out, if there's any concerns whatsoever. And it's all through a drop-down click, one platform, user-friendly on a cell phone, tablet, computer. I don't have to be at my desk. I can interact with clientele and staff through their text messaging right on their platform. I'm able to get live time information, motivate staff if I'm not there. Hey, I see it's a little slower today, or we need to have an increase, or we're too busy. Actually, let's spread out these clientele all through their platform right on my cell phone. So that's how I'm able to manage it live time. It gives me full-time analytics, staff appointments scheduled to RO's open percentages, so I can gauge live time of how a staff is doing, how a store is doing, if they're going to hit their gross goal for the month. All it's tracking if I'm falling behind or ahead of the previous month, literally through drop downs on their platform.
Drew, could you imagine doing business without Affinitive, without all these tools?
No, and I'm not, I always say I'm not in the business of ever bad mouthing anything, so I won't mention any other brands, but I have been on other brands in the past. And I find most tools that are out there are more sales-based tools. Yeah. They really cater to the sales floor. And if we're honest, in the world we live in, and really always, sales is important, but it's service. Service is what's going to keep your dealership open, active, vibrant, and alive. Up here in the Northeast, there's a lot of broker deals that take place.
Yes,
most customers are not coming through the service to the sales department anymore.
Yes.
But they are coming then to our service drive. And sometimes that is their true first interaction, is when they come in for a service department. Yeah, I got your car through your broker at your dealership, but other than picking up my car, I never stopped in there. So it's all from how my service BDC is going to interact with that staff through Affinitive, through either text message, phone call, email, straight through how my advisors then greet them, through the technicians and the advisors communicating with the videos and the text messages throughout their service visit, and then me as their own loyalty manager following up at the end to make sure their service was satisfactory, and if there was any concerns or questions, I can rectify them to make sure we did them.
Jeff Jackson, I'm going to give you the last word for today.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate Drew. I appreciate the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I appreciate this forum and the ability to go on and discuss these changing times and different issues that we have as car guys and gals and fixed ops people. And no, I always appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad to introduce Drew to the squad.
Everybody,
and
the
people.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I do appreciate it.
Strong stuff. Fantastic, Drew. Jeff, if our audience wants to reach out to get more information on Affinitive, perhaps to you, find out more about what you can do for them, what's the best way for our audience to do that?
My email is at the bottom, the banner along the bottom, or just affinitive.com.
Jeff Jackson, everybody, very much available on social media as well. He's on LinkedIn. You can find him there, or at jjackson@affinitive.com. Affinitive.com is the website. And Drew Faithfull and Jeff Jackson, Thanksgiving is next week, so I want to wish you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you.
Everybody, Drew Faithfull and Jeff Jackson representing Affinitive here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Need help increasing sales for your dealership? With just one place to connect your data, solutions, and results, you can finally align your teams, improve performance, and power business efficiencies across all your stores. Easily source inventory, bring more traffic to your dealership, and speak to your audience to boost conversions with multi-channel digital solutions. Drive repeat business and transform your operations with a data-driven, integrated suite. Turn shoppers to sales. Increase vehicle acquisition. Maximize service scheduling. Enhance service lane experience. Own your retention marketing. Drive service conquest. And convert service to sales. Our suite, your solution. Contact us today and deliver first-rate experiences to your consumers.
Our next speaker has got a super sound. Put your drumsticks together for Earl Sticks Brown from Radiant Ride.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Radiant Ride is no stranger to the Fixed Ops community thanks to the tireless efforts of Earl Sticks Brown. Earl is with us today along with Michael Culliver to talk about the Radiant Ride Certified Dealer Network. Earl and Michael, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having us. Good to be here. Always a pleasure.
Sticks, you are everywhere. You are all on the scene. I have people who text me and they say they met you in person, either at this event in Vegas, that event, and you've become quite a celebrity, as has the name Radiant Ride, and it's no small thing that you're doing for the industry right now.
Thanks, Ted. No, it's been an exciting year. We're literally drumming up excitement. Just in the past couple of months, following Digital Dealer, we were at SEMA last week. We're just finishing the year, this final quarter, in preparation for NADA early 24. And we're excited to just engage with dealers that we've established thus far and take it to the next level, making Radiant Ride certified services available on the service drive.
And you know what?
Really,
there's a lot of wind at your back right now to do that. Now, Sticks, I've heard the name Michael Culliver. I haven't met him until today. Give us a proper introduction of Michael to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Absolutely. Michael Culliver, brand new, actually going on a year now.
Yeah.
With the Radiant Ride team. He comes to us from the insurance industry in sales, marketing, business development. Michael grew up in the automotive sector as being a long time person of Radiant Ride. We thank him for being a part of the team, and he's going to be bringing a lot of innovation, a lot of new concepts from his previous industry into automotive, and learn a lot about automotive.
Definitely. Very excited for it.
Well, Michael, congratulations and great to meet you in person. I understand that one of the things that you're rolling out now at Radiant Ride, in addition to the Certified Dealer Network, you are creating a membership portal for cosmetic repairs. In fact, before I even go there, Earl, give us the overview of Radiant Ride for the audience, in case there's somebody under a rock who doesn't know yet what you do. Give us the big picture.
Absolutely. I'd like to give you the big picture by asking one question. Are you aware of any automotive retail center where customers can go for routine maintenance and cosmetic repairs during the same service visit at one location?
Wow.
Okay. All right. Just that question. There aren't too many locations are actually, you don't really think of a service center that can accommodate your minor cosmetic repairs and routine maintenance during the same service visit. Radiant Ride wants to make that service experience a mainstream resource for car owners. From dents and dings to rips and tears, Radiant Ride wants to partner with dealers to make those repairs convenient. So we've been working with a number of dealerships throughout California to serve as destination centers, Radiant Ride certified destination centers, where car owners can go and receive not only routine maintenance from oil changes, tire rotation, your regular scheduled maintenance, but combine those repairs with cosmetic repairs, dents and dings, windshield chips, curb rash, leather rips and tears, headlight restoration. The whole idea is that if a customer could receive not only routine maintenance, but get these cosmetic repairs done at the same time, they love the convenience and the idea of preserving their investment, keeping the appearance of their car. It establishes a higher trade-in value and higher resale value. So it's win-win for the dealer, win-win for the customer, and win-win for all of our mobile partners who are part of the Radiant Ride network.
Michael, service advisors, when vehicles pull into the drive, are trained to look for these types of things. But there's really never been a platform that's allowed them to conveniently, for the customer, take care of these things and be able to do it with a lot of ease. And Michael, you've answered that at Radiant Ride. And, I'm curious as to your thoughts on the convenience factor.
Yeah. So when a customer is bringing their car in, as Earl was saying, for routine maintenance, that service advisor is now able to offer them the Radiant Ride package, whether it's going to be done at that particular service time or a future maintenance scheduling. We're there for the convenience. If they have the time and we have our mobile techs there on site, we can get it done that day.
And Michael, convenience is becoming the big word right now in automotive. Make it convenient, because in the last, 3 years, 4 years now, it's been a while. We've learned about a lot of new conveniences that as consumers, I don't think we're ever going to go away from again. And now it's worked its way, Michael, to automotive.
Right. It becomes the norm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Earl is right. I don't know. Outside of the Radiant Ride certified dealer network, I don't know dealers who, it's really up to someone like you and Sticks to take on this initiative and do the heavy lifting, which you are doing now. It's very impressive to see this over time, to bring this to fruition, Michael, and make this a reality out on the service drives across America.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of what we do in the way of just raising awareness to dealers about the Radiant Ride experience entails showing the dealers that they have an untapped workforce. They have these mobile techs that go in on a weekly basis to do PDI work, trade-in vehicles, wholesale work. They have the technicians that are there at the dealership every week, day in and day out, taking care of the frontline lot vehicles. What we're doing is we're helping the dealers leverage that workforce and provide a little marketing behind it so that they can make it available to those service drive customers, use it as a service strategy to get more customers back to the store, more retention, more repeat referral. All right. And higher CSI is the ultimate goal.
Right. And Earl, we're talking about, I guess, what you referred to as smart repairs. Talk to us about that, because we're not talking about big collision work and parts and things like that. We're talking about the cosmetic stuff that happens in parking lots and
Absolutely. These are cosmetic incidences that you typically don't take to the body shop. Okay. Smart repairs, it's an acronym used in the industry, and it stands for small, medium area repair techniques. These are minor cosmetic wear and tear incidences that include dents and dings, paint touch-up, windshield chips, aluminum alloy wheel repair, leather rips and tears, vinyl repairs. These are your they happen to most car owners. In a recent survey, 90% of car owners incur these minor cosmetic repairs. So we're raising awareness to dealers that they could be a destination center for these repairs, and also sharing with customers who own vehicles that want to have these items repaired that there are a network of dealers that can serve their needs and repair these cosmetic repairs and routine maintenance, all in one stop.
Yeah. And Michael, my daughter recently, just last year, she's 22. She got her first new car. She got a Subaru. That's what she wanted, right? And within 2-3 weeks of her having the car, she was in line at the drive-thru to pick up a cup of coffee at her favorite place. And what do you think happened? Somebody behind her, looking at their phone, just drove right into her bumper and scraped it up. And it's not enough to go to the body shop.
Right.
But here's a brand new car, literally a couple weeks old. And now it's got some scrapes. And, she goes to the dealer later for maintenance. She's not going right away. And she wants to get that touched up. So if it's a dealer that's Radiant Ride certified, Michael, they're going to make it very convenient for someone like her.
Exactly. And with our new portal that we're able to sign up people basically in less than 2 minutes. We get their vehicle information. It's a 2-page process, and you're in the program. You can schedule a repair that day.
All right, so speak to us about that, because as far as I've heard, that's something new. You now have customers who can actually sign up for a membership, Michael.
Yes.
Okay, walk us through that. Tell us how that.
So right now, when we're offering it in the service drive, the service advisor would show the customer the Radiant Ride marketing material. There's a QR code on a banner stand that they're able to basically sign up themselves, the customer, on their phone in less than 2 minutes.
Sticks, I have to be a Radiant Ride. I have to be a customer of a Radiant Ride dealer. Is that correct? Or tell us how that will play out.
The Radiant Ride membership program on the service drive is available to everyone. In addition, when they pull up to the service drive, the service advisor will also have the membership portal on their iPad.
Right.
They can sign up the customer right then and there, enter their name, VIN number, and as Michael said, it's less than a 2-minute process. Once we capture the vehicle information number and the customer contact number, they have access to all of our repairs and are informed that when they bring their car in for routine maintenance, having the cosmetic repairs will be included as part of their service experience.
I have a feeling this is going to greatly expand Radiant Ride, Sticks.
Well, typically, a lot of dealers would like to make ancillary products that are sold in finance on the service drive, but invariably, many of the service advisors require sending the customer back to the finance department, right? That's a little inconvenient. The customer is aware that once they get the keys of the car to the car and they've exited the finance department, they typically have to stay in that department for 45 minutes to an hour, right? So if the service advisor instructs the customer to go back to the finance department to pick up that extended service contract, that wheel program, that the debt program, that's going to be a little time consuming for the customer. So we decided, why not have a membership portal that customers can sign up to and receive Radiant Ride services that the service advisor can initiate and sign up while the customer is standing right next to him or her.
That's brilliant. That's a whole new portal, Earl, for Radiant Ride and for the dealer, and it makes it even more convenient than ever for the customer, because the customer is the one driving the process now.
We were at a dealership a couple of weeks ago, and the service advisor was showing me, all right, when he talks to the customer, all right, the customer just wants to save time. They don't have a resource for these cosmetic repairs, right? So when the service advisor was explaining to the customer that, well, this is going to be an automatic repair process when you bring your car in for routine maintenance, she wanted to sign up right then and there for the program. We just hadn't launched it yet, and we're going into the first few weeks of actually rolling this out now.
All right,
and it's
so
live
Michael,
now.
It's okay. So that's my question. It's live today. It's out.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
It's
So
live
Michael,
today.
how do we get there? How do we see it? Is that on the radiantride.com?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's just subscription/radiantride.com.
Okay.
And it's all there.
So it's up and running today. So
yeah,
Michael, I learned recently, average age of vehicle out there is, I think it's over like 13 and a half years. Is that good? Is that sound about right to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so people are keeping their cars longer, and therefore they're going to want the appearance to maintain the appearance of their vehicle as well, just as long.
And you're right. I know one of the selling points is that the dealer is best positioned, and you want to position the dealer, right? Because that's part of customer retention, Earl.
Right.
Bring the customer back to the dealership and have them, under the dealership's, while they're having the routine maintenance, which everybody has to have done, take care of everything at one time and make it super convenient.
Absolutely. If we could help the dealer provide a service that customers can't receive anywhere else, the customer is going to appreciate the idea of receiving this service that they can't get anywhere else. They're going to have a higher loyalty to that dealer, that destination center where they receive service. And the dealer they're going to think about buying their car at that dealer again, because of the service that they're receiving that they otherwise can't get anywhere else. The dealer will appreciate the idea of when that customer comes back to the store for these periodic routine maintenance and cosmetic repairs, they've got to walk past a row of cars, 2024 new vehicles, right? They're going to see something that they're going to like. So the dealer really enjoys the customer coming back to the store. It's retention, pure and simple.
Yeah,
customer retention.
And the dealers have inventory now, so the customer is going to see that inventory. All right, so you no longer have to be in California to take advantage of Radiant Ride. I don't think you ever had to be but now this greatly expands Radiant Ride's reach all over the nation, all right, where customers can go ahead and access the portal. And Earl, I want to ask you, we've talked about wheels as well. So are wheels included? Is that part of the Radiant Ride?
Yes. Aluminum alloy wheels. We have the capacity to fix minor curb rash, all right, nicks, powder-coated wheels, machine polished wheels, polished aluminum wheels. If the wheel holds air on the tire and it's engineered, its structural engineering of the wheel is intact, there's a good chance that it could be repaired cosmetically.
Michael, would this be now with a portal? Would that now be considered a subscription for the customer? How does that work?
Yes, exactly. It's a monthly subscription. You pay a fee based on your vehicle type, make and model, and it's for a year. And after the year, if you want to continue the program, you just sign up again.
What about mileage?
No restriction on mileage.
No restriction on mileage.
Right now, it's only cars that are 4 model years old, or not model years, 4 years old. So right now, 2019 and above qualify.
Wow. Okay. So Earl, you've thought this out, and then so if it's 4 or less years, okay, does the customer have had to have purchased it new, or I'm just asking questions that probably most dealers are going to ask as well.
No, new or less than 4 model years old. Most cars that are sold at the store are in that category. And if we need to provide a little more leeway for a car that's 5 years old, but is in relatively decent shape, we have the leeway to allow the dealer to bring them on board.
Okay. All right. So everybody, dealers are now going to be able to provide not only the routine maintenance they do, but deliver that cosmetic car repair. We're going to have it sounds like we're going to have the consumer help drive the process, Sticks.
You know, our hope is that customers will go up and ask for it, right? We're going to be doing some television advertising, a lot of social media, and you know, this is an opportunity for service managers and service directors to diversify their service offering and give consumers a product that they will invariably need, because when they pull up to the service drive, there's a high likelihood that the car is going to have, you know, a nick here, a nick there, a windshield chip, that the service advisor could become a hero and have it repaired and offer a solution for future scenarios when it occurs. You know, can you imagine pulling up to the service drive and having a particular cosmetic repair and the service advisor offers an immediate solution to fix it that day, and then on your next subsequent visits, have it repaired the next time when this happens?
That's amazing.
The guy's going to be a hero, right? You know, the service advisor or the customer is going to appreciate the initiative and have a remedy that when it happens again, there's peace of mind knowing that the service advisor introduced to them a solution for cosmetic repairs.
That is exciting. All right. So everybody, Radiant Ride is now announcing that they have created a membership portal for cosmetic repairs on the service drive. If our audience, Sticks and Michael, want to reach out and find out more information, our audience being the dealers and the people in the automotive industry who want to find out more, what's the best way, Sticks, for them to do that?
We can be found on radiantride.com, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, right? Or
you're everywhere.
What Michael would recommend is just Google Radiant Ride. You remember that, Michael?
Yes. Yeah.
Just Google us. You know.
I love it.
And then Michael's on LinkedIn as well.
Michael, congratulations. Great.
Thank you.
Great strategy for
Thank
Radiant
you.
Ride moving into the new year.
Yes. Very excited.
Because here we are, you know, by the way, I want to wish you both a happy Thanksgiving. It's coming up next week. I can't believe that we're already there.
I know.
You know? But what a great way to get ready now, today, for the new year and what's coming. And you're right. There's going to be so many more customers coming into service. People are keeping their cars longer. This is a great strategy and something new for dealers who are not yet in this space, but will capitalize on the convenience of having the maintenance and the cosmetic car repair all done at one time.
And another point as well, Ted, is that, you know, as EV development is on the horizon, we all know that those EV vehicles are going to require less maintenance. We feel, though, that the desire to maintain the car cosmetically for EVs will be just as high as customers who own ICE vehicles. So this is just another avenue for dealerships to expand their service offerings with cosmetic repairs to replace those maintenance opportunities that are going to diminish as a result of EV development. So we're really excited about the convergence of EVs and ICE vehicles. In either category, the consumer is going to want to preserve the appearance of their car. And we want to be that one-stop shop solution and make cosmetic repairs a mainstream service sector for car owners around the country.
And probably even more so on the EV. They don't want to keep that vehicle in good looking condition.
Exactly.
Right.
No, we think so.
Right. Michael Culliver and Earl Sticks Brown from Radiant Ride. Thank you, gentlemen, for all you do for our industry. And for more information, everybody, visit Radiant Ride online. You can Google them, as you just heard. I believe that is Earl Sticks Brown email as well in the ticker
Yes.
down below. They're easy to find on social media. They're everywhere on social media now. You can't miss them. And I just see more and more growth. And Sticks, great strategy, great thinking. And Michael, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted.
The team, everybody from Radiant Ride here today at the Fixed
Ted.
Roundtable.
Good job.
Thank you.
The number one benefit of Radiant Ride is convenience for the customer. Whenever they're coming in for maintenance, they're able to come in, get their basic services done, but also take care of the windshields, the wheels, the dents at the same time, allowing us to make it a seamless effort for them.
It's a great benefit, and I've had several customers that I personally know that have purchased Radiant Ride and have told me how great it is. They know that they got a windshield star or other issue with the vehicle, and they don't have to panic because they know, hey, when I go in to get my car serviced next, I'll just get it all taken care of at once, and they love the convenience.
Well, that's what's worked out so well. We've been able to just take care of the regularly scheduled maintenance along with any warranty work or whatever, and we can take care of, you know, what the program has to offer. And so you can encompass the whole experience under one umbrella, and that's what's worked so well for us.
There's a lot of great benefits to Radiant Ride, especially the customer retention. Being able to have customers come back to your dealership. The convenience factor of it, you know, being local, you know, and if there's somebody far away, guess what? Radiant Ride will go to them as well. To be able to have a product that, you know, that takes care of all those things, and for a customer to come into a dealership where they bought it from, and for us to be able to hold on to that customer, you know, it's important. You know, it just brings them back every time, and if they're in here for their third, fourth, fifth year of issues, and at that time they're looking at buying a new car because they're so well taken care of, it's a great tool for the dealership as well. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
You know, with Radiant Ride, that helps us become a one-stop shop for all their needs. You know, we don't have to, you know, they don't have to worry about going anywhere else for any of their vehicle needs at all. The other dealers out there, the great thing about Radiant Ride is the support behind the scenes. You know, if there's ever any issues or questionable situations, Radiant Ride always stands behind the product and is there for the customer.
Somebody call the Daily Bugle. We're back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable Automotive Avengers event.
School's in session. Take a peek at the scholarships for Northwood University in our next segment, filmed live at our pop-up event.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. We are at Northwood University, and this has been an incredible week so far. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves and share a little bit about what you do.
Of course. My name is Cole Briggs. I'm the general chair of this year's auto show. We're in the 60th anniversary, and thank you both for having me here.
My name is David Shimek with Reynolds & Reynolds. I'm Senior Vice President of Corporate Development. One of the really neat things that I get to do is do scholarship programs for universities around the country, and that's why we're here at Northwood today.
Well, you know, on that theme, David and Cole, and again, what an amazing opportunity, Cole, for you to have us here and, you know, put on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, meet with your students, meet with a lot of the people involved at the university and great companies like the Reynolds & Reynolds Company. Yes. David, Reynolds & Reynolds is making a big announcement here. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. First of all, Northwood University, this is my first opportunity to be here, and what an amazing experience. I got to meet some of the students last night at the preview, walked around, just talked to them. They had no idea who I was, and I just talked to them. What amazing students here at Northwood, doing a great job of preparing leaders for our industry in the future. And that's what this is all about, right? So Reynolds & Reynolds has been a partner of Northwood for almost 50 years now. We do things like the Reynolds Lab, where we send our software here, let the students utilize the software, the same exact software we use in our dealerships, and they can do repair orders, they can do sales processes, all of that stuff in the lab. So we also have some of our other products like DocuPad, like GoMoto, all of those things, we give them hands-on type experience. So that's one of the major things that we can do here. The other things that we do is we've worked with Northwood to do research projects, to write curriculum, to help them in the automotive industry. And kind of as a segue to that, and maybe I ruined it a little bit at first, but we're here today to announce that we're starting a scholarship program with Northwood students. We're going to be giving, this semester, we're going to be giving $5,000 scholarships to students. The university will select them based upon their merit, based upon their financial need. And they can be used for anything from books, tuition, room and board, research projects, what have you. And this is going to be the first step of what we're doing. These scholarships are renewable each year, and then we will be adding to them each year as well. So that's the big announcement, a new scholarship program for Northwood from Reynolds & Reynolds.
Well, David, I know that Northwood University students are absolutely thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to be impacted by Reynolds & Reynolds with those scholarships. And Cole, you know, you're in the graduate program here at Northwood University, and you have seen the impact of what a scholarship like this, how that can impact and shape a student's trajectory in their learning and growth. Can you tell us a little bit what kind of impact a scholarship like this is going to have on the students here at Northwood?
Yeah, thank you. One of the biggest things I want to touch on too, what he talked about, the hands-on experience that you give with just the example of having the Reynolds Lab. That is what Northwood prides itself in, is the hands-on experience, that when you're looking for an internship or a career, employers want to know what experience you have. And when you can say you have experience in the classroom, that's huge, that's monumental. And it's opportunities like that from companies like Reynolds & Reynolds, where they're able to implement that into universities, specifically Northwood, that help enhance anybody's learning environment. So that's really good. In terms of like scholarship opportunities, when you're able to go to school and not have the financial burden that of paying for school and being able to just being able to focus on your studies, that helps us take in everything that the professors are, teaching us. So all of our professors have industry experience, and we want to soak up as much as we can. But if we're focusing so much on like, okay, I got to get to work right after this class, which I worked and I had scholarships, there's students like that too, then it's the mental burden, the extra capacity that you have to spend on that is just a nice burden that's released. So we appreciate it. Any amount, it goes a really, really long way. It's huge.
David, I want to follow up on what you and Cole just said. Are the scholarships that Reynolds is offering limited to any particular major here at the university?
There are some limitations, absolutely. What we are focusing on is the automotive industry, the automotive management program you have, the marketing program you have, and then also the aftermarketing program. So students in those disciplines will get first dibs at it. Now, are we going to limit that? No, because a dealership, you need finance people, you need accounting people. So we will have finance and accounting degrees that are available for that, and also computer science. We have a lot of software development to do in this coming, years and years and generations. So we want some computer science people as well. So those are the disciplines that we will be supporting here.
Well, and David, as I understand it, this is not only these scholarships are not the only way that Reynolds & Reynolds provides educational assistance. Can you describe a little bit about some of the other ways that you participate with Northwood?
Absolutely. With Northwood, we like I said, we have the learning lab, and we underwrite that, send our software here, send all of our hardware, whatever they need from a hardware standpoint, yes, we'll send it to them so that they're running on the latest and greatest things. The other things that we're looking at is I looked around the campus, what other needs are they having? What other initiatives are they going to be having to help their students become better students and then better leaders? So we're going to look at more programs for them as well. Absolutely.
One thing too, don't don't we sometimes have executives and people from Reynolds come into class?
Yes, and we teach some of the sales leadership seminars that are here in Northwood. So
That
absolutely.
industry
Perfect.
experience that we
Perfect.
love, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Cole, I think that's unmatched anywhere in the United States that you would get that kind of interaction firsthand with executives from a company like Reynolds.
Exactly. It's amazing. It's impactful because that's what students want to know. Students want to see where they might be in, their career in the future. And to see the executives and people and employees from Reynolds and any companies come back and help teach students, that's awesome. It's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Perfect.
All right, gentlemen, as we wrap up, tell us a little bit about the Entrepreneur Boot Camp for veterans, what that is, and maybe about how that works as well.
So this is one of my most passionate things that we are doing at Reynolds & Reynolds. We've established endowments at Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio, and at Texas A&M University. We bring in veterans as they are exiting their service for our country. We bring them into the campus. They have, and it goes in with Northwood, right? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurship. They're entrepreneurs. They want to start their own business. They've been in the military. They don't know how to do that.
Right.
So we bring them in for a crash course of 8 days. One day will be accounting work. One day will be marketing work. One day will be IT technical type stuff. We bring in mentors from the community to help them at night. So they go to class during the day to learn these things, and then they have mentors to go through their business plan and help them. It is just so satisfying to help the veterans who have helped us be here today.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, David, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable and on behalf of Northwood University, thank you so much for all that Reynolds & Reynolds is doing for our industry.
It is our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And Cole, thank you for having us as well at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, for us to be able to help tell this message firsthand and see the impact that it's making.
Agreed.
All right, everybody. Sarah Van Tyne and I will be back. We're here at Northwood University with the leaders, Reynolds & Reynolds. Thank you so much for being a part of our event.
F&I deal documents, parts invoices, repair orders, and payroll documents are generated every day in your dealership. They are created in one department, but by the time they are ready to be archived or destroyed, they have traded hands multiple times. Along the way, they get added to bigger stacks of paper, get damaged, get misplaced, get replaced, and hopefully get filed away. But then you need one of those documents. Someone has to go find it, digging through files and boxes in the hopes the document is where it is supposed to be. In the meantime, your employees are waiting, your customers are feeling forgotten, and your documents have become a giant web of frustration. Things don't have to be like this. Now, documents can be electronically archived the instant they are created without having to print and scan them. The web of frustration is gone, reducing mountains of paperwork to digital documents that can easily be viewed, printed, emailed, and exported straight from your system. Your employees will have all the access to the information they need wherever they are in the dealership, streamlining your operations and removing the burden of paper from your business. For more information on integrated document management, call 888-875-3563.
Our revolutionary pop-up events have sparked a new wave of growth and innovation.
Become part of the brand that is shaping retail fixed operations at fixedopsroundtablecertified.com.
Take a moment now to pull out your phones to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of this event. Remember, every vote counts, so be sure to put your superpowers to use to vote for the 5 speakers or panelists who you think are the heroes of the show. And don't forget, you can only vote once. Get the latest from Joe St. John of AutoFi with Vanessa, Ted, and myself from the After Dark Show. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable After Dark show. Tonight, we are joined with the one and only Ted Ings, my peer and classmate, Vanessa Collins, and a very surprise special guest, Joe St. John.
Joe St. John. Joe, I have not seen you in a long time.
I've been in the basement lab. I've been down here with a pen and a pencil, going to town, doing really creative and fun stuff that I'm not quite ready to share with the world. But when I do, it's going to be amazing, Ted.
All right. So we are really honored to have Joe and Katrina Ness and Vanessa Collins from the Northwood University. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We got a lot of folks coming into the chat. And I see LG Bright is in there. I see Michelle McLean, Roger Conan, Robert Migliaccio from Carter Myers, Shon Kingrey, and more. So great stuff happening. So Joe, I was telling Vanessa and Katrina a little bit about what you do. Tell us, first of all, bring us up to speed. What's going on before we find out about them, tell us about you and AutoFi and everything that's going on.
Well, life's been crazy, man. Hey, what up, Michelle McLean? Life has been bananas. Lori and I welcomed our 6th child on Friday. And so I'm actually at home. I'm sleep deprived at this moment. I forgot what it's like having, there she is, Madonna Ruth St. John, our littlest nugget. And yeah, life has been bananas. Ted, I have, since about August of last year, just look at that little girl. She's just such an angel.
When was she born, Joe? How many days ago?
She was born on Friday. So we got discharged from the hospital on Sunday, and I haven't slept since then. And so it's been pretty bananas. Man, life's been amazing. Since about August of last year, have lived in dealerships in a way that was really, 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 really inspiring for me. In fact, this summer, we loaded up all 5 kids and my pregnant wife in our giant Sprinter van, and we drove around the country for 6 weeks, and I worked in dealerships that whole time. And so literally like on the sales tower, like out taking ups. I have a picture of me doing the worst walk around ever. Yeah, on a Subaru. I know nothing about Subarus, and I busted this up, and I was like, ladies and gentlemen, what you have here is the all-new Subaru Boxster engine. And the lady was like, sir, this engine's been out for 20 years. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, it was newly made. Like, it was brand new. It's a brand new one. And so it's been unbelievably fun. We have been really digging into, like, what are the real problems a dealer is facing today that are nuanced and different than maybe what they were a few years ago? What's still the same? Like, what still is a problem and still is hard? And how can we leverage really the power of some of the best and brightest in technology to really solve some of those problems? And what we've been doing has been some of the most inspiring and fulfilling work I've ever done. And I'm really excited to kind of go to market with what we're really bringing out to the forefront, which is still not out to the forefront. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to tell anybody what's going on, other than what we're doing is some of the coolest stuff I've ever done. Like, it is like truly groundbreaking, fulfilling work. And it's been a really, really, really fun past 12, 18 months. It's been a hard one. Like, selling cars in 2023 is different than selling cars in 1998. I can tell you that. In some ways, it's way harder. In some ways, it's way easier. And it's been really great to be working with amazing dealers out there. Hello Automotive Group. Those guys are unbelievable. Chris Morris and Joe Seppa and Carl and that whole crew, right? The Richmond Ford, the people that are out there, Matt Blatt, who I'm flying out on Sunday to go see in New Jersey. Like, some of those dealers are doing things in such inventive and creative ways that it's hard for somebody like me that loves this business to not just walk around with this, like with an inspiration point. Like, I just am like, man, like, God, like, we're just getting better and better. And so it's been a lot of fun for me, Ted.
Joe, I could tell. All right. And, for our marketing students, our students who are here tonight, and for folks who don't know, real quick, explain what AutoFi is and what AutoFi does. And I pulled up the website here.
Yeah, thanks. So AutoFi is the kind of first of its kind automated lending solution for dealers that really powers a connected experience for consumers. Meaning, if you think about really like all the different like pieces, as me as a sales manager, the tabs I would have to open up and click between to try and get information to a customer, through really powerful integrations with the biggest lenders in the business, we've come up with some really powerful solutions that allow a dealer to move much faster, to play much smarter, to close deals quicker, to make customers happier. And by doing those two things, stack more money on the bottom line. And I think that's what we call a win-win-win. And yeah, that's what we do at AutoFi.
So Katrina and I were having a conversation recently about how automotive retail may change in the future and how it's already changing now. Okay. And Joe, all the things, the transformation we saw happen in like that 6-month period a little while back, that really helped bring things like AutoFi to the forefront in the way that people, you know, want to conveniently be able to buy their car.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it on that rocket ship that took off, and I think it started like March 13th of 2020. And when all of a sudden states were like, yeah, you can't sell cars here. Katrina, I'd love to hear your perspective on like where you think that's going to go.
Yeah, of course. So I love to say one of my this summer when I interned, one of my colleagues who I worked with says buying a car is the second biggest purchase of your entire life, or it most likely will be. So the process of moving a car, like buying purchase 100% online, I don't think will be for everyone. I think that there will always be people that want to drive the car before they buy it, before like they want to look at it. But I think there's a big convenience of filling out paperwork and submitting your files and documentation through an online website versus having to do it all in the dealership and spend a whole entire day in there.
And Joe, isn't that a huge part of it? The time it takes to transact a deal?
Yeah, so I think that there was this big hypothesis in like 2018, 2017 that there's all these customers that were like secretly lined up that wanted to buy a car through your website. And I can remember being on stage being like, I hate the term digital retail. And I was like the head of digital retail for a digital retail company at that time. Because I think there's this misnomer, like most customers I don't think want to magically buy a car online without like seeing the car or talking to somebody. But I also think that most customers don't want to spend the 177 minutes on average that it takes to buy a car in America. And so I think that there's this like idea that if we can truly transform the entire buying process by like focusing on delivering value in a way that's significantly faster, that's what customers really want. Like, I want to know like, what's my payment? I don't want to sit here for 45 minutes. And like, I think about the tech that we use right now to work a car deal. Like I giggle because it's still the same technology we used when I was working the desk in like 2006 working car deals, right? Like a salesperson sitting down with a customer and the customer's like, all right, well, what is it with $5,000 down? And the salesperson gets up, they walk 35 yards, they interrupt somebody that's doing something else. They go, hey, what is it with $5,000 down? And the sales manager's like, what is what? What are you talking about? Oh, on the Jones deal? Hang on, let me find the tab. And then they find the tab, and then they switch over to desking, and then they realize that they went to somewhere else in the CRM, and now they got to look the customer up, and then they find the deal, and then they put the $5,000 down, and then they hit a button, and then it prints out way over there, and the manager gets up and like walks over there. I actually have a video, Ted, from a store I was at up in Minneapolis, where the printer was on the other side of the tower, and so they had one of those like elderly people claws. And they would use that to like reach over the tower and get the sheet of paper. Like I have a video of it. And then they sign off on it and they hand it to the salesperson who 7 minutes later is now walking the 35 yards back over to the customer. And the customer goes, okay, well, what is it at 72 months? And they literally just do the same thing over and over again. And I think about that's an unnecessary drag on the process. And when I started selling cars in 1998, I can remember the first thing I got yelled at me, and I got lots of things yelled at me, was time kills deals. Like, speed it up, son. And I think that like everybody in this business agrees that the like longer it takes, the like lower their buying temperature is going, and the less likely it is that I'm going to get them to say yes to me, and the more likely it is that I'm going to have to give up gross to convince them to say yes to me. And so I think that the future is a world in which, as long as there's really safe bumpers on the lane, you can get the customer the information that they want fast and make them feel like they're in control of that process. Because the one thing I know is whether it's my 9-year-old or it's a customer, the best way to get them to say yes is make them think that it's their idea. And I think right now what we do is like, no, all right, now we're going to argue. And like, that's a no-win situation for both of us. And so I agree. Like I really think that you're spot on. Like there's not this line of customers that are like magically in their basement wanting to buy cars. There's just customers that don't want it to take 3.5 hours.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about desking and like the whole CRM because that's exactly what I worked on this summer. So I was a product management intern at Cox Automotive and I did desking, VIN solutions, Deal Central, all of it. So I was working with the software and talking to dealers and internal stakeholders, then taking what they told me and taking that to the architects and the engineers, UX designers. So I love that you brought that up.
And Vanessa, what Joe is describing is what actually still happens today. That's happening right now in dealerships somewhere. The salesperson having to walk those 35 yards back and forth many times as the customer wants to know more information. And what Joe has done at AutoFi is brilliantly speed that up, like where it happens in nanoseconds right in front of the customer. And the options they give are in, Joe, I saw it.
Ted, you're giving too much away. This isn't even out yet. Like I have a small group of early adopter dealers that I have this with that are some of those like early adopters in the business that paint a new way of doing things. And when I say new way of doing things, it's not like the processes in the dealership aren't necessarily broken, right? Like there's a reason that we kind of sequence the things the way that we do and we like work through things. It's really like all of these gaps in that process that if you just kind of like seamlessly put them together, it would do this. Like that's really what needs to happen. And so I think that when you talk about like, it's not like we need to flip over the model and become like, I don't know, Carvana or Tesla. Like, I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is to look at our model and go, wow, like, how can we just do this a whole lot better? Like, how do we do this in a way that still gets the like maximum level of outcome I'm looking for, right? Which is net to sales. Like when I went through NADA Dealer Academy, where I'm a guest instructor to this day, the thing that I was really taught as a general manager that made a massive difference for me was this real discipline around net profitability or net to sales. So what type of percentage in my total sales volume did I put up was I taking to that bottom line? And I think if that we keep this like discipline focus on that outcome being the like driving barometer and then backing into the ways that we can organize our business to effectively maximize that, like that's smart thinking. Like that's what, for me, this whole game is about. And I go back to, the Jeff Bezos quote from like 1996 of there's never any misalignment between customer interest and shareholder interest. That if the one thing that Amazon is focused on is, do they deliver the best customer experience? Good, bad, or negative, right? There's a lot of negatives on the best customer experience. It means getting stuff to people tomorrow, right? Like that's hard. But by focusing on that, they can maximize the return for their investors. And I think we as dealers can do that same thing.
It's an exciting time in our business, Joe.
The most exciting.
Yeah. So, and also on fixed operations, Joe, right? How about that?
Bro, fixed operations. I was hanging out with a good friend of mine, John Fairchild, the other day at a dealership we were both happened to be at. One of those moments where you're like, hey, what are you doing here? And like just the pace of things changing in fixed ops. So like I literally met with the fixed ops director, walked in, and they had these machines that when you're bidding a car or you're bringing it in, will tell you if a panel's been painted because it's like looking through the paint, like it's telling you the align, like it's so like used to be when you would like walk around like, well, that one sounds all right. Okay, how's this tire? Okay, I take my penny out and put it in the tread. Like the world we're in now, and the ability for like a tech to shoot a video and a customer to get it on their cell phone and immediately accept the work. The technology that's changing fixed ops right now is wildly cool.
So Vanessa, one of the things we've done at the Fixed Ops Roundtable is we've introduced the Fixed Ops community, which would not normally hear from people like Joe St. John because he's on the other side. He's on the variable side, the finance side. We've introduced the Fixed Ops community to people like Joe, okay, and vice versa, because there's so much synergy with everybody working together at the dealership. And if we all work together, we're going to give the customer a better experience. And this young lady here, Sarah Van Tyne, she can certainly speak to that, Joe.
What up, Sarah? I said give her a shout out. Sorry.
All right. So anyway, tonight is about the Northwood students, and we want to find out a little bit more about you. I've talked to a lot of people, had a lot of comments from people, who are like, wow, Northwood students are involved with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. we want to know more about them. So tonight, for the first time, we've got Vanessa Collins on here and Katrina Ness, and we want to get a chance to ask you some questions. So, Vanessa, this is your first time on the show. Tell us a little bit about you, and where did you come to Northwood from, and what are you studying there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm very happy to be here and to have the opportunity to be on the After Dark show. But my name's Vanessa. I am from Clio, Michigan, born and raised in Michigan. I'm a third year at Northwood University studying marketing communications, and I'm in the BBA MBA accelerated program here. So I actually graduate with my bachelor's in May, and then in 2025, I will be graduating with my master's.
I love that. Joe, do you know where Northwood is?
Yeah, I've actually done a couple of guest lectures for the Northwood community. It is wildly cool to me. The amount of talent coming out of that place, the focus on truly groundbreaking leadership in our industry, and the fact that it's so focused on what we do is really, really, really amazing. Hearing about what these two young people were telling me about before the show that they just got done with, to have an opportunity like that where you have real control of assets, you have real responsibility, real stakes, right? If it doesn't go well, that blows back on y'all. To have that kind of pressure and an opportunity to actually do that as you're going through college. College today can be so much theory. It can be so much talking about how things happen or how what the world is like. It's really cool to be around young people that are really getting an idea of what it's going to be like to be out there in the working world, and already have leadership experience that is related to the world that I've worked in for the last 30 years. So it's really, really, really cool. 30 years is, yeah.
Would wonder if you'd like to talk about the International Auto Show, because you're both involved. Actually, you probably both should talk about that. So,
yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I can start. It's amazing how Northwood gives us these opportunities to take what we learn in the classroom and put it into a real world experience. Before we get out of college, and I feel like I'm ahead of the game just being at Northwood and having these opportunities to get this experience and run an auto show and be in charge of $60 million worth of assets. And it's insane.
Yeah, we just wrapped up our 60th anniversary earlier last month, and it was an amazing show. It was an amazing experience for both of us to be on the executive board because it is a 100% student-led show. So it's definitely a lot of responsibility, but it's a lot of reward at the end of it.
I've got a question for you two. I mean, you both sound like you really had your pick of colleges, right? What led you to Northwood?
Well, so I had 3 marketing classes in high school. So I really fell in love with marketing in high school, which is a very young age to find your passion. But I'm super grateful for that. And I knew that Northwood was a all business school. So I knew that coming here, I would be surrounded by other like-minded students, which is huge for me. And I also really fell in love with the campus here after my tour. The advisors here even really cared, from the start, with their communication to me. The professors, when we'd have little classroom meetings during our tours or orientations, I could just really tell that they cared. And also the Northwood idea too was huge to me. So when comparing the colleges, I had about 5 to compare, and Northwood just felt right. It was like a when you know type situation for me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I completely agree with Vanessa. I had exactly 5 colleges to choose from as well. And when you go to Northwood, it's okay, this has to be the place for me. Just from the tour and engaging with your tour guide, and then literally introducing you to people all around campus, because you don't see a face on campus that you don't recognize, whether that's your peers or your professors. So I loved that. And then also my mom worked a while back at GM, I think with LG Bright, who's our department head for automotive. So I have like a good connection from a while back, just with the school. Then my mom also works for Cox Automotive. So Cox Automotive is very intertwined with Northwood. They love to support. So she was really pushing it. I was like, I don't want to go to this little school in Midland, Michigan. So I didn't even want to tour it. But when I did, I started getting involved. I was already signed up for the auto show before I committed to the school. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going here now. I already signed up for stuff. But best decision of my entire life. I couldn't be anywhere else.
Joe, Robert Migliaccio, who's in the chat, works for Carter Myers Automotive. And I believe you know the dealer there, Liza Borges. I've mentioned her name to Katrina before. And, you know, Liza is a great example of a person in our business who's risen up to the very top of dealerships, if you want to speak to that. I know you spoke on stage with her a couple times.
Yeah, Liza, I think, is a it's kind of an icon in our industry now, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's someone who is one of those leaders that leads by example, that I think sets the pace, is how I would describe her. Like, what she does with her dealership group is the things that I think others look to go, wow, like, I should be doing that in my dealership group. And she leads with a ton of integrity. Like Liza's one of those people that I've never and car business is full of people that are trash talkers, right? Like, car business is a place where people can turn very negative very fast. And in my entire career in this business, I don't believe I've heard one person ever say a negative thing about her. And I think that she's a testament to what I love about this business, right? Like, that's like, you know, my mom was a service writer at a Chevy dealership, raising me as a single mom in the 80s, right? That's where she met my stepdad, who I call my dad, who was a finance manager. And I was that little kid in a dealership that grew up like, you know, like selling the chocolate bars on the service drive. And so for me, I have this just unbelievable love that I hope you both will experience for this industry's ability to give people a path to something that you would never have outside of this industry. You know, and on top of that, the other thing that I love is that there are people out there like Liza who will take people and help them find that path for themselves, and will pay that thing forward, and will help people that are hungry and that have, you know, ambition and integrity and like that blend of characteristics, find a way forward to, you know, really have the same opportunity to do something amazing like she did.
Yeah, that's so true. I know that, Katrina, Northwood's mission is to develop future leaders. You know, how are you going to take what you're learning here and use that maybe to build a foundation for a successful career? Because I think you're going into a career, something in automotive, the way it sounds.
Yeah, maybe something. I mean, that's just my major, but definitely plan on it. So leadership, Northwood, like I said, offers great opportunities for students to get involved and be leaders, even if from all the way up to the general chair, if you want to run the whole show and be in charge of all that, to the executive board under it, to being a team captain and being in charge of your booth and all your team members, to just being a team member. There's so many leadership opportunities just entwined in the auto show. But then the other departments have other events going on. We have a fashion show. We have like this huge dinner that our hospitality program puts on. So there's so many leadership opportunities here. And I like to say that you can't read a book about leadership and just expect to come out and be a leader. You can't take a leadership course and have someone lecture you about leadership and then be an amazing leader if you don't have any experience prior to that. And so getting that prior experience right now and in college is so beneficial. And it doesn't only like build your resume and a great thing to put on there. It builds yourself. It builds your experience. It builds how valuable you are.
I like that. Vanessa?
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. Like Joe said earlier, Northwood does offer so many hands-on experiences and real life experiences, both in and outside of the classroom. So being able to build my portfolio in my major classes, as well as getting involved on campus. The sky is really the limit here at Northwood. So I definitely, after my time here, I will definitely feel prepared to be successful in my career.
Well, so And Katrina, you've heard a little bit. I asked you the other night. You've heard a little bit about fixed operations. You're taking a class or two on that now.
Yeah, so I'm in a fixed operations class right now, taught by LG Bright and Mike Stoll, who LG Bright is in the chat right now. But it's great. It's an amazing class, and it really pushes like learning about the dealership. And it's unique because you don't have a fixed operations class at every school for every kid that's like, I want to work in a car dealership. So it's like you're getting these experience, and LG brings in amazing industry professionals to talk to us so we can learn from them. And it's amazing like how different the courses are here and how different the relationships are with the professors and just relationships all over the industry in general. But I don't know, the fixed operations class has been so amazing, and we're doing a whole service write-up right now. So we're making a whole service plan and then presenting that to some dealers next week, Wednesday, I believe. So that'll be very exciting.
Joe, I think it's important also as leaders like you and I are in the industry, we have a responsibility to bring younger people in. And I think the Northwood connection is just, so amazing because the talent pool there is, people who are directed at, creating careers. And I think it's a perfect fit for the stuff that we're doing.
I've seen, and thank you for roping me in as a leader. I really appreciate that, Ted. I think of you as one of the greats of our business that everybody looks to see which way the wind's blowing. I think there's something really powerful about what you're doing and really galvanizing the fixed ops community. What I was going to say is I've seen it firsthand. Like I literally can think back to a handful of posts where somebody that was like a guest speaker at an event at Northwood met a young person that was at Northwood who then is helping that young person to find a career path at like that you probably wouldn't just find that opportunity. Like, because that person who like I see it, I can think back to multiple like LinkedIn posts where like, hey, I met this kid at Northwood that like blew my doors off. They were amazing. Like I was floored. Like we got to find them a job. Anybody looking it's wild to me. I am overwhelmed over and over again at how this community rallies around and like really comes together. I also know when you look at the statistics of our business, a lot of people don't make it that come into this business. So if you look at the turnover numbers, if you look at the people that kind of like start at the bottom, start working up, there's like some real signs that there's a lot of opportunity or vacuums for leadership. And so I think it's also this really critical job that Northwood is doing and preparing people with I think Katrina, you may have called it out, a like practical, like do focus on leadership. Like actually, like I can't wait to ask you all questions like the scary moments of putting on that event. And like, when was it hard? And like, because I know they were there, like you had to go through one of those, like, oh shit, what are we going to do? Like those moments. And those moments are the maker or breaker moments in a lot of people's career and planning. And so I just think it's really cool that Northwood is like creating that environment to like build that pipeline of not just talented, but skilled leaders to come into this business. And it makes me, like I told y'all before we started the show, really optimistic about where we're going as an industry.
Yeah. No, it's so awesome that you said that. I love that.
Yeah. And there's a whole lot in store. So we look forward to the Northwood connection and working with Vanessa Collins and Katrina Ness on a lot of things coming up here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, the events, and then some. Joe, we're doing these pop-up events around the country.
We're back in person. This is crazy. It's crazy, Ted.
Back to our roots, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you, we're out there. We're doing all kinds of new things, and we're constantly reinventing ourselves as well. So, and we need young, fresh ideas, as to new ways to look at the industry because it's constantly evolving, Joe. And Joe, you're right. I think back 3 years ago to that make or break moment or moments and how we responded to it. And we didn't wait to be told. We went out and acted on it. And that made all the difference because the industry came and followed.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was something I'm unbelievably proud I got to be a part of with you. It was awesome.
Everybody, we're very grateful for you all to be with us tonight. We're going to be back on Monday night at the Fixed Ops Roundtable After Dark show, and look forward to Katrina and Vanessa and a lot more. Joe St. John, I am humbled and honored that you are here with us today.
Bro, I'm about to fall asleep. I've got the 5-day-old kid outside of this room that is going to be making noises for about the next 14 hours while I try and get some sleep. So, Ted, I appreciate it, man. It is, it's always an honor and always a pleasure to get to hang out with you, my dude.
Yep. So everybody, we'll see you soon here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thank you for joining us all here today.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the StarGuard dealer-branded app customer retention tool. This retention program provides connectivity between the dealership and the customers. Let's get started by showcasing the app's features. The first of which is support services. Having a contact card easily accessible to the customer provides them with a variety of options to contact the dealership directly. Also on the main page of the app is a direct link to the customer's OEM warranty information along with all products that were sold through F&I. Reviewing maintenance schedules and scheduling an appointment is also made easy by providing the customer with a direct link through the main dashboard should they need it. Another feature available to the customer is a resource called Glovey, a secure digital wallet that they can utilize to store information and images of important documents such as their driver's license, registration, or insurance card to always have readily available. And to showcase the dealership's positive impact on its community while generating additional marketing opportunities, having an integrated link dedicated to the dealership's socials such as Facebook and Instagram further encourages customer connectivity before and after the sale. And to ensure that customers are always kept apprised of ongoing sales and specials, providing them with direct links to the dealership's website through the app as well as notifications generates additional marketing transparency for the customer to take advantage of. Also, since customers often have multiple sources in which they have acquired coverages and warranties, the service advisor can quickly scan their VIN, and within moments, all applicable information will automatically populate by using the VIN scan tool, a reliable resource to negate negative CSI and eliminate confusion. Lastly, the dealer-branded app allows the customer to utilize StarGuard's GPS through the same portal. This includes features such as real-time vehicle location and travel history, geofencing, stolen vehicle recovery, and even vehicle health alerts such as battery health, speed, and mileage alerts, helpful in notifying the customer of when it's time to schedule their next service appointment. All of this and much more will be available for both customer and dealership representatives to further provide unparalleled customer service, promote long-lasting customer loyalty, and even more solidify the professionalism you stand behind.
Here to give your powers an edge, we've got the go-to parts girl, Kaylee Felio, and the PartsEdge panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We have a great panel now head by Balancing Growth and Efficiency, a roadmap for dealerships. Kaylee Felio is with us. Congratulations, Kaylee, from PartsEdge, and she's leading the all-star panel. A lot of familiar faces here, Kaylee, and again, a great topic, I think. So,
thank you. I'm very excited.
All right, I'm going to let you get the show on the road, and I'll step out of the way, and I'll come back towards the end. So, Kaylee, it's all yours.
Awesome. Okay, should we start with quick intros? Go around the room, everyone introduce themselves. We'll start in order. Jim, you go first.
Sure. Hi, Kaylee. Well, Jim Sabino here, All-American Ford. We're here in New Jersey, and looking forward to discussing this really important topic that you're hosting today for us.
Thank you.
Holden Scott at Regal Nissan in Roswell, Georgia, and I think this is a very important topic for us all to be discussing. Can't wait to see what everyone brings.
Yeah.
I'm Ed Roberts, COO of Bozard Ford Lincoln down here in sunny St. Augustine, Florida, and also the author of Mal One, An Endless Journey to Effective Leadership. And looking forward to talking about some efficiency here.
Shon Kingrey, Vice President of Fixed Operations for the Kaiser Automotive Group in the not quite so sunny and warm Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh no, it's probably getting cold there.
It's all right.
A little chilly. Okay, so yes, I wanted to bring you guys all together to talk efficiency and really balancing the growth, because I feel like we've gone through such a growth period. We're all just having record months. But how do we maintain that efficiency? How do we, identify areas that need improvements or even some innovation? So with that loaded question, let's start with Jim on how you're feeling about, what I just said.
Well, listen, efficiency built into any department is a smart way to pursue. Parts department is a very methodical, thought out, inventory-based business. Service departments need that to be successful. So the more successful your service department is, the parts department shares in that success because they're filling the need of the service technicians and all the guests that cross into the service drive. And that doesn't happen by mistake. It happens with very, very good and tight inventory controls, tremendous communication within the departments from parts and service back and forth from managers, need and stocking levels and things. So there's so much that go on, but working efficiency is key. PartsEdge and what you bring to the table is a tremendous asset to dealerships throughout the country, and it's just a really good resource to have and to do your job better, smarter equals efficient. So there's so many. The conversation can go on and on and on, but I'm all for it. Working better, working smarter, and having the end result for both departments as a shared success through efficiencies that are put into the parts department.
What you said, Jim, was awesome. So efficiency is exactly, what we want to focus on. And there's so many ways to be more efficient, but I feel like when you look at efficiency, it always translates into more profit. And so, so with I guess my next question would be, with the tension between growth and operational efficiency, how do we balance the tension that happens, I think, is what my next question would be. And I'm going to go to Ed.
So balancing growth and efficiency are kind of tying together. And let's look at that from a vision standpoint. If we have a vision, then we have a path to get there, or we have what we want to get there. And then we got to remove the friction. As we remove the friction, or the time robbers, or the things that take things away that we're not necessarily getting a whole lot accomplished in, allows us to be more efficient. And we can say more efficient allows us to do more with less, but we're not trying to get rid of people. We're trying to do more with who we have. So it's about doing more without putting as much effort in, or as hard of effort in. And those elements tie together, but they all start with a vision. What do we want to be? How do we want to get there? And work towards removing the friction that prevents us from getting there. And it ties together. And it's one of the big things with parts is you need to communicate with advisors. You need to communicate with technicians. And there's got to be things that ties those things together. If the techs are going back and forth to the parts counter and the advisors are going back and forth to the parts counter, well, advisors can't do a whole lot if they're not at their desk in front of customers. Our techs can't fix cars if they're not in their bay working on vehicles. So we have to remove those elements to make us all more efficient. And so when we make the parts department more efficient from communicating with some type of communication tool, then we make the technicians more efficient, and we made the advisors more efficient. And that's where growth really amplifies.
So communication. I'm making notes. And Shon, what about you? How do you guys balance efficiency and growth?
I think one of the biggest things, Ed hit it right on the head there. Whenever you say you have to remove the roadblocks. If there's roadblocks, listen to your people and ask what they are. All the manufacturers now have their own parts ordering systems, which will basically tell you what to stock. And with some of the manufacturers now wanting 95 and 96% fulfill rate to that number in order to get money back, they're telling you what to stock. But if you have technicians that are constantly saying, I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I don't have this, listen to it. And by the way, I'm okay to tell a technician that they're wrong. I'll go back and run her, Ed Roberts can walk up, we don't have this widget. Well, okay, well, I'll run the history, guys. We haven't sold that widget in 4 years, so stop complaining. But Ed also may be right. We may have sold 13 of those widgets, and we have a parts manager who's just not paying attention. And that's okay too. Again, whatever the roadblocks are, you have to listen. But it needs to be seamless. It needs to be seamless between just like Ed said, from the service writers to parts, to the tech to parts. Whatever the roadblocks are, you have to listen. You have to remove them.
Absolutely. And what are some strategies to, I guess, streamline this, especially for parts? And what you had mentioned, looking at the roadblocks. Okay, so this technician's complaining we don't have these parts, but you look at the history and it doesn't make sense to stock these parts. So how do you guys streamline those processes to make sure everyone's happy? And we'll go
really
with
circles back.
That
really, I'll take that for a minute. That really circles back to what you guys do for us, Kaylee, where you look at our patterns of what we do and help determine what the stocking levels need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times it's manual decisions done inside that where somebody that doesn't work on vehicles and they kind of say, okay, we, like Shon was saying, maybe we've sold them, maybe we haven't. But in their mind, they're not watching the curve of how that thing is taken off, and we haven't reacted fast enough, and we really hold ourselves back by doing that. And there's so many things that ties to that, with extended loaner days and all the other elements, and that vehicle tying up a bay in the shop, only by not using the tools that we have available to us through you guys to help us stock the right inventory for the times that we do need it.
Yeah, exactly.
And to take that a step further, guys, every DMS, and I don't care, we have 3 DMSs in this group, whatever DMS you're on, you can run fill rate reports, guys. There's reports you can run to answer those questions for you. And I hate the term meetings. I like huddles. And it's okay to have huddles and talk about it. They're not complaint sessions. They're not the B word. That's not what they're there for. They're there to talk about the roadblocks. Have your shop foreman, have your leaders, have your parts guys, have your main parts counter guy, not your parts manager all the time, the main parts counter guy who's the one taking the beating, and have him involved and say, why don't you have, why do you have 7 spark plugs for a V8 F-150? Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's a legitimate complaint. Why do you have 3 rotors? Okay. But then you also, in the same regard, you can say, listen, you told us to stock all these rotors, and by the way, you haven't sold one in 7 months. It's okay to go both directions.
Yeah. Holden, are you back?
I think so.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to what they were talking about or what we're talking about?
I just think the whole conversation is something that needs to be discussed, because I know sometimes we're so busy chasing these metrics, and I've done it myself. And I think that's one thing I was going to say is I just closed a pretty large wholesale account that we had here, just because the amount of work and effort and delivery and all the things we were doing and chasing the money, it looked good for, on a resume maybe for total sales, but then at the end of the day, it just didn't pencil. It doesn't make sense. So sometimes I think everyone can do a little too big with empire building. They get so caught up in, hey, look at all this stuff I'm doing, but then how does it actually affect the bottom line? How does it affect your employees' happiness? Like running around like crazy and making your employees unhappy to chase these big accounts or things like that. We always got to think about that. Like, how does that affect employee satisfaction and happiness? It might be big numbers, but sometimes guys just roll their eyes when they see certain accounts calling and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing to look at too.
Yeah, because they may be ordering a bunch, but they're returning and causing headaches for your team. And it's like, is that really even worth it? Because it looks like they're buying a lot, but they're actually not. So, Jim, I think you had something to add.
Yeah, no, I agree with Holden on that at all. You know, I'm a big fan of not chasing bad money, and you know, some of these big, large accounts that purchase, you know, at very, very deep discounts, and then do the return game, and then hold you out for 30, 60, 90 days it's just not worth it. It's blood money at best. And you know, it's just bad. In my opinion, it's just bad business. You know, focus on your retail customers, focus on your wholesale customers that pay in a timely manner, that have minimal returns. There's always going to be returns, but they have to be minimized. And you know, that just respect your business. And, you know, if you can go the extra mile and locate a part that may be on back order, that's great. If you can do that to continue the relationship and provide good service to a customer, whether it's a retail customer at the counter, or a wholesale customer on the phone, or a shop job at a technician at the counter. That's what you need to focus on. And don't race, you know, if another dealer is, you know, willing to go a little deeper discount, don't get in a race to the bottom, because that's the only way you're going, is to the bottom. Let them have it. If they want to go, you know, below 32 or 35%, let them go. Let them go. It's not worth it. And Holden makes very, very good point. And that's how we operate here on those exact terms. So we kind of hold for it. And when if somebody is a big return, we cut them off, and that's it.
You know, what's funny is that Ed and I don't know about the rest of you. Ed and I were both blessed enough to go to NADA Academy. And when you're in the parts segment, Larry Hochul, for those that don't know, they'll put you through a class on wholesale, and you'll be looking at these huge numbers. To Holden's point, you know, I'm doing $1 million in sales. That's great, because you're losing money every month to do it. And the first time, because I've been through NADA Academy twice now, but the first time I went through it, sitting next to my parts manager, and Ed's heard this story 100 times. He literally resigned on the way home, because before we left NADA Academy, we were out of wholesale, because you don't realize what the cost of the trucks and the people and the returns, the amount of money you're actually bleeding in wholesale. And it was a major account. And to Jim's point, we were chasing a competitor. This was my career when I was in Minneapolis. We're chasing a competitor, and we're just beating each other up until we're bloody. And we literally dropped out of wholesale because of it.
Yeah. Good, smart move. Smart move. Let somebody else take the beating.
Absolutely.
And not to mention that, I mean, he talked about a lot of things with the trucks and the insurance and the people and whatever, but it's the receivables as well. We put the receivables out there, and then a lot of times they're smaller companies and they're having to float money, so they're floating our money, and then we end up spending a lot of time chasing that.
Yeah.
And so, yes, when you calculate all the elements into it, it's a tough business. I'm not going to tell you it's a dead end business. It's a tough business, and you got to make sure it fits your market and fits your business. But just to jump in is not necessarily the right thing to do.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's something that you have to look at for your market and see if it makes sense for your dealership, because it doesn't make sense for all dealerships. And some dealerships are really successful with it and, you know, are profitable. It's always one of those things I've heard, you're either really in it or you're not. It's not something you can just like have to.
Yeah, you're not sticking your toe in and being successful. You got to jump in.
Yeah.
But hopefully you've jumped in with doing the right study and making sure that you have a market that can run with it.
You got to be all in 100%. You got to do it effectively and somewhat profitable. And there is profit to be made. Don't misread me. And there is, you know, there are plenty of wholesale dealers that are very, very successful, but their focus is heavily on wholesale, and their focus may not be into the retail shop. So they may have a small shop, but like you said, $1 million a month, maybe they're doing wholesale. But you know, the inventory levels that you have to keep, the receivables, how many vans, the insurance, the drivers, what goes missing. There's so many variables there that you have to take in consideration. But some dealers, is a big dealer in our area called Fred Beans. I'm sure everyone's heard of him, who is very, very successful in the wholesale market. Incredibly successful. He has so many different car lines. He has, you know, that market on covered throughout probably maybe 10 franchises. And he's a big player. He has wholesale warehouses all over, like different areas just for holding. And that's like his own little distribution centers. So, you know, that's big. He's all in, that's for sure.
That's someone that's in the wholesale business for sure.
Yeah.
Well, to shift it up a little bit, I want to talk about, the team and how to, foster innovation with your team. And, we talk about efficiency and improving, but how do we get the team to be on board with, changes and being proactive, I guess, and showing them there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Does anyone, I'm going to just call on someone because no one's jumping. We'll go with, Holden looks frozen, so I'm going to go with Shon.
No, you know what? You listen, pay plans drive behavior. If you tie parts people's pay plans into efficiency and proficiency in the shop, you'll meet some resistance at first. Ultimately, I've never failed at doing it. They need to have buy-in. They need to understand that if you have a technician sitting at the back parts counter for an hour waiting for a widget, everybody loses. All right. Once they get tied in and they understand that the part's sitting there and they see Ed out there working on the car, like we talked about earlier, I can run that part to Ed. Now Ed's twice as efficient. That changes my pay plans. Listen, the parts guys aren't the highest paid people in the dealership. We all know that. Okay. They're the lost people behind the concrete walls that nobody pays attention to. It's important to have them. And it's important to tie them into the daily efficiency, tie them into the huddles, tie them into the meetings. It's just as important.
It is. And I know from just talking with Holden too, one thing that he also does with his team is, shows them how to treat it like they're part of the business. And that's kind of what you're saying, is showing them the numbers, showing them like that certain things actually cost money. It's not like you just get something new. It's like, it's part of the business. Yeah. So, Ed, did you want to add anything about, the team and how to foster just the changes of problem solving and efficiency?
It's given why, and it's given the vision and why we're doing it. We've done the market study. Here's our opportunities. Here's what we can do. Here's what it'll do for our business. And when they can see it, they can be a part of bringing value to the store. They'll push that much harder. If they're just doing a job, then they're just going through the motions. But when you show them they can bring value, then they buy in and emotionally connect with what they're doing.
Absolutely. Jim, I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah, no, I agree with Shon and Ed. I hope, very much that, pay plan drives behavior, as Shon very, very effectively communicates that. It's very, very true. Including everybody, making them part of it. Typically, when you have huddles, meetings, parts isn't always included. So make them part of the discussion, make them part of the topic, make them understand how important it is for their buy-in for the overall success of fixed ops. If listen to them if they have any ideas or suggestions, take it into consideration. Let their voice be heard, and they will feel more valued. A more valued employee is typically a more productive employee. If their pay plan reflects that it's even better. You really have to treat them as if you would treat an advisor or a technician, or you want them to be a part of the process. Being more efficient and having a more organized parts department to serve the customer, whether it be the technician at the counter, the advisor getting a price quote for they got on the phone, a retail counter guest that bought a car last week and they want to buy some accessories, so they're at the parts counter window trying to get some ski racks or a bike rack they want for their new car. Or a wholesale customer that may call on the phone and inquire about a big body order. So having the right inventory, parts management is incredibly methodical. It is really, I give a lot of credit to really good parts managers that get it, that work their inventories, that have the aging down pat, have their obsolescence very minimal, have the turn rates where they're supposed to be, and then some. So, when the technician comes up to the counter and asks for a part, that we most likely are going to have it. Now, again, back to Shon saying, some technicians go up there and, we haven't sold a part in 4 years and they're, this place stinks. And they walk away with an attitude, and then you lose them for a day because their head's in a mess. And then you go out there and you try and say, I haven't sold this part in 3 years. What are you talking about? It's, we'll get it tomorrow. It's in stock, local depot. It'll be here in the morning. So let's get something else and keep going. Sometimes you have to, shake the tree a little bit and let them know that, not every single part is on the shelf. we're going to do our best to have the best fill rate we can, and through efficiencies and technology and stocking levels. If you have a manager that's really, really good with that, we're going to do the best we can to provide a high level of service to be as efficient in that bay and keep the fill rate as high as possible. And that's really that's what we do. That's how it should be done.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned something, that the parts manager working the inventory,
Yes.
and like what that actually looks like, because yes, there are manufacturer programs that help you suggest what to stock, but if parts manager is not working the inventory and you're just kind of letting things do, I don't know, autopilot, I guess, and not really being proactive, then that's how you lose that pulse on what you should be stocking.
Correct. You can get yourself into trouble. That's for sure. And there are suggested stocking levels, and it's all the data that you program, right? You set the parameters on stocking levels and the breadth and the depth, and you introduce new parts, or you take a new part and you introduce it. You have to set the levels that the computer restocks at. So there is a lot. It's very, very, very methodical. So parts managers are incredibly crucial to the success of the entire department. It really is. And then he has to support, him or herself with a good team, at the counter that's knowledgeable. So when the tech comes up, and a lot of things is, with Ford anyway, it's all VIN decoded. I'm sure that all the other manufacturers are VIN coded. You put the VIN in, and it kind of will populate the exact part that you're looking for based on the search. But again, you still have to have an organized inventory to start. Special order parts, that's a whole nother conversation, on how to get those off the shelf and into the cars installed, and the whole appointment process. And the initial parts purchase from the technician or retail counter will only happen with a successful inventory that's really managed well. And the aging of it.
Yeah, man, we could go down so many different ways.
Yes, we can.
I want to. I'm trying to think which one's best to go down. I think with the parts managers, how do we identify that they need more support? Because there could be some really good parts managers that have a really good pulse on their inventory. How do you guys identify that they need something to be more efficient or to help them, or do we just let them continue what they're doing because they're already successful?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that a bit. We don't know what we don't know, and neither do they. And there's tools out there, and not to keep giving you plugs here, but it's reality. There's tools out there that helps these guys understand how to work phase ins and phase outs that Jim was just talking about. And if we don't go out and research those tools and find those things that can make us more efficient, then we're just going to do things the way we've always done things. And if we've done things the way we've always done things, then are we really becoming more efficient, or we're just doing more of what we always done? And so we have to go out and chase those tools that can make us efficient. And that is why there's this panel talking about this today, is to let you know that there is things out there that can help you with these things. Because when you're working with your DMS at your store, it's basing things solely off of what happens at your store. And when you use the data or the tools that's available out there, now we're looking at it from a region or a national standpoint across all DMSs, and we have more information to make a better decision with on phase in and phase out. So it's about using the tools that's available to us.
Absolutely.
And Ed, I think more than ever, and you give Kaylee and PartsEdge, give them another plug. Even though at the time I lived in Florida with Ed, and we didn't have COVID down there, okay, but you had COVID, and now you had this strike that's been going on now for however long, and we're all fighting this strike. 4 or 5 months ago, the OEM, and listen, you need OEMs as partners. We all know that. But in the same token, they came in right before the strike started and said, you need to order 6 months worth of parts, because we're not going to have ARO. We're not going to have replenishment orders. We're only going to have special order parts. Well, guys, that screws your inventory up. Kaylee, your business is going to change. Your business model is going to change, because when and however the strike ends, or when they end and how they play out, you have inventories now that you shouldn't have. And we all know it. You couldn't stock every widget for every car. but they came in and said, you need to order 6 months because we're not going to stock you. And there's things that we ordered in our 8 stores, I promise you, that we didn't need. We didn't order everything, but boy, we ordered a lot and we prepared for it. And then now you're hoping that, there's an end in sight and all this ends. But again, we all relied on the OEMs, and then the OEMs took it away. And you get parts managers, to Ed's point, we don't know what we don't know. Some of these guys only know the manufacturer's sites. And if it doesn't tell them to stock it, they don't know what to stock. It's not their fault. We just don't give them the tools to do it.
Yeah, and to mention on the what we're experiencing with the strike is we're actually noticing that dealerships forced and obsolete inventory is actually going down because they're allowing dealerships to buy from each other. So you're not having that purchase loyalty penalization. So that's kind of the silver lining, I guess, of what we're seeing right now, or I guess right now, of what's going on with that. And yes, you're right. I think because people are stocking up a little bit more than they normally would be, we're going to experience kind of, again, that COVID obsolescence that happened.
Again, I agree with you, Kaylee. Yes, I'll sell Ed a part and I'll sell Jim a part, but that's all fine and dandy until you have a dealer principal or GM come back and say, why is your $400,000 inventory $220,000 now? Because you can't get parts. Right. And again, it's a double-edged sword. It's a real fine line to walk.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Well, fascinating discussion, everybody, and very timely. So, and Kaylee, I'm so glad you got the group here because they're very, very knowledgeable on all things parts, and we're going to have to come back and do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great. I love these types of conversations. So thank you guys.
And I like the direction it went. I want to thank Shon Kingrey from Kaiser Automotive Group, Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln, newly minted author, as well as Jim Sabino from the All-American Ford Auto Group in New Jersey, and of course Kaylee Felio at PartsEdge. Kaylee, to Ed's point, to the group's point, a lot of folks need to reach out, outside of the OEM for help. And I know that's right in your wheelhouse at PartsEdge. What's the best way for people to reach out to you and the team there working at PartsEdge?
Visit our website, partsedge.com. You can reach out to me directly. My email's down there. Or, if you're active on LinkedIn, you can find me there. But yeah, you can reach me and find me pretty much very easily. So.
All right. I want to thank Kaylee Felio and PartsEdge for hosting this panel, everybody. Balancing growth and efficiency, a roadmap for dealerships, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Obsessed with creating the perfect inventory? Us too. PartsEdge gives you the tools you need to outpace the competition and provide the highest level of service to your customers. PartsEdge is a powerful tool for parts managers to get the job done faster. Imagine what it was like when the impact wrench arrived. It made mechanics 3 times faster. Getting the job done without the latest technology makes it difficult to keep up. Besides all the other responsibilities you have, you work hard to have all the right parts you need when you need them. PartsEdge was designed by parts people for parts people to make that job a lot easier. PartsEdge saves you 4 to 6 hours every week and can increase your sales by 10 to 20% in just 12 months. Not bad for your bottom line. Take your obsession to perfection with PartsEdge. Call us today to find out what PartsEdge can do for you.
Look to the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an update from Brooke.ai.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. The phones have never been more important than they are today. we have a great panel ahead with us with Proactive Dealer Solutions. Want to welcome Justin Hill from Proactive to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and Chad Playford. First time for both of you on the roundtable. Welcome to the conference, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah.
Well, great to have both of you. Got a lot of questions to ask of you. First, tell us a little bit about yourselves, starting with Justin, what you do, and give us a little of the background on yourselves.
Sure. So I am the Director of Sales and Key Accounts at Proactive Dealer Solutions. So I manage both our sales team and then our account management team from a revenue standpoint. I started in fixed operations in late 2008. I started out as a service advisor, worked my way up to service manager, and then in 2016 left to go to the vendor side of things. So I've been around automotive the entirety of my professional career.
And you are a superhero, I see, as well.
Today I am Captain America. So
Love it. And Proactive, you've got a lot of things going on. You've got training, you've got classes, and really best in class, Justin, in terms of the work you do for retail automotive.
Hey, we appreciate that, and we take a lot of pride in that, Ted. You know, we always want to deliver best in class, best in industry in anything that we do, whether it be from software or from training. So, you know, at heart, we're all still from the automotive industry. We still, you know, bleed that. So it's very important for us to deliver top quality.
Yep. And respect that retail background you've got as well. Chad, tell us about yourself a little bit, what you do, and a little of the backdrop on your organization.
Sure. Yeah. I actually started my career out at Mr. Lube at a lube shop in the basement, and I worked my way up, and I managed Mr. Lube's for a little while. And I started as a service advisor probably, about 15 years with Capital/Cornerstone Automotive Group. I was a service advisor, then I was a lane manager, then I was the service manager for one of our GM/Cadillac stores up here. And then I helped build a BDC, and now I'm most recently been picked to help out with some recruitment for some technicians, and I do marketing, and I do some advisor training as well thrown in.
So you are very much involved in the fixed ops side of the business, and what's your relationship with Proactive? I imagine you've done some work with them.
We started with Proactive a couple of years ago, actually. Dan Guitar came down and helped out with our BDC when we were fledgling. So we kind of started, and we didn't model ourselves after anyone. We kind of started from scratch, and about 6 months in, we figured we needed someone to come, check our progress, sort of thing. So we had Proactive Solutions come in, and we started there. And since then, we've also had the training for the advisors as well. And so I've myself have gone to just recently a masterclass out in the States there too. So.
Well, my first question, Chad, is for you, since I know you've been through the training. We know that CSI is an even bigger focus point now than probably ever before. Phones, being top priority, we're seeing in fixed operations as well. What growth in the CSI metric have you seen there with your team since supporting your advisors with the type of training you're doing now?
Yeah, CSI is huge. I mean, it always has been huge, but it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, the expectations of customers have shifted. They're not lower, but they've shifted a little bit, right? So the big thing, I think, is communication. Part of the advisor training was on the disc, on the different personalities. And I had the opportunity to meet with the advisors about 2 weeks after Matt Gray was out. And that was their biggest takeaway. The biggest takeaway for us, even after that, is the communication. What are you talking to your customers about? How are you talking to your customers? And nowadays, people want to be treated the way they want to be treated, right? So the different personalities have different requirements when you're speaking to them. So, and then with the BDC too, that worked out very well. Is the communication between the BDC and the advisors improved once we get to know how exactly people, the best way to interact with people, and I think that was a big takeaway. So.
Wonderful. Justin, I know dealerships like Chad's, typically one of the big gauges that they're measuring is revenue in the service department. And I'm curious, what methods are you using to teach advisors to do that more effectively? How do you do that?
Yeah, Ted, if nothing else, we focus on three key things. And the first thing is from the time that the customer comes in the door, what we call the active check-in, or how we greet the customer, how we talk to them about what diagnostic issues they may have. Is there a rattle? Is there a noise? Check engine light. You know, unfortunately, sometimes in the service drive, we just say, okay, you got a noise in the front end, great. And we set them down or we send them on their way, and then we give it to the technician, and then there's no problem found. So we teach them to use what's called a drivability worksheet. So what I want to understand is, okay, when you hear the noise, is it going over bumps? Is it a certain speed? Do you turn left or right? Is it raining? Is it dry? The more information that I can give my technician, not only can I figure out the problem, diagnose it, and have an opportunity to increase revenue by repair, but then going into the second point is the multi-point inspection, right? And what we know is that processes don't typically fail. People fail process. And what happens is they don't present the multi-point inspection every time, or they pencil whip it and they don't go through. It's so crucial to present it, and to present it in a manner that our customer understands. We take our automotive knowledge for granted. We think they understand it, and they do not. We have to break it down in a manner. So we teach them how to present that in a way that they understand, it makes sense, and they see why their vehicle needs it. And then the third thing, and probably the most important, because it goes right back to CSI tied along with revenue, is the active delivery. Rather than just handing your customer a copy of the RO and the keys, walk them to the vehicle. Go over what you did on the RO that day. Set the expectation for the next appointment. If everything was green on the multi-point inspection today, but they're going to be due for a 30 or a 60 or whatever the next visit in, prepare the customer. Go ahead and set the next appointment. We don't do enough of that, and we lose so much revenue by not just focusing on these small things.
I like that tool you mentioned early on, sort of like a tell the technician tool, because the more information we can empower them with, you know, the better that service visit is going to turn out to be. Chad, a couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to work with some dealers and put together a service advisor job description. And I'll never forget how many things went into that job description, how many tasks go in. So I've got to ask you, how have you seen the role of a service advisor change in the last, let's say, 3 to 5 years with different responsibilities?
You know, again, it most of it comes down to the expectations of customers. You know, customers come in, most likely they've got a situation with their vehicle that requires resolution. Service advisor owns that. He writes up a work order, you know, mentions all the maintenance and asks open-ended questions, make sure that he understands the situation so that he can relay that to the technician. All that stuff is very similar. But what's changed over the years is, again, you know, getting back to expectations and just how we can communicate with customers. So we have so many different tools nowadays. You know, it's been a while since I was a service advisor, but again, I get to meet with these folks all the time. So I'm in the stores, I'm in the drive-through all the time. And the platforms that we use, whether it's CDK or you know, Reynolds or Techion, I guess some of our stores are Techion now. It's so much easier now to send a quote to a customer, and now the customers can approve things, you know, by clicking a button on their phone and send it back to us. Right. So gone are the days where you can't get a hold of someone and you know, you took down the wrong phone number and you can't get a hold of them. You can't get them here. You can't get them there. And that's improved so much. And that's been a huge game changer for advisors in general. Yeah.
Yep. And everybody, all of us included on this call, have our phone nearby or in our hands. And it's great to use all that technology. Okay. I totally agree with you. And I've seen that role change as well. Justin, we talked about processes a moment ago. And, you know, you're squarely in the fixed ops space at Proactive Dealer Solutions. I mean, a lot of folks say they do it, but you really do it, okay? And you're into a lot of dealerships, and you got a chance to see a lot of metrics, and you've had a chance to see a lot of processes succeed and, you know, maybe do the opposite. What's the key to keeping a consistent process? Because as I understand, consistency is really the key.
Consistency is everything. You know, the biggest thing that we see is when we go into a store and we're trying to either reset or reestablish process or even improve upon an already existing process that's pretty good, is the management buy-in from the top down. And what we like to do is to go in and do what we call a customer experience map. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to, from the from when a customer either calls in or shows up at my door to the time when they leave with their keys in their car, what does that process look like? And then we go through and look step by step and say, okay, are there any fail points or operational inefficiencies? And then once we get everything set and we all agree upon this is what we're going to do, that is when we go in and say, okay, this is now what we're going to follow no matter what. And when we have the management buy-in and they're managing to that expectation, that's when we're able to see that to really flourish and do better.
Super. Chad, I got to come back to you. We talked about some of the technology now that's in the service drive, and that the way it's shaping our industry and changing it. But Chad, we're still in the people business, right? We're still not just in the car business. We're squarely in the people business, communicating with each other and so on and so forth. How are you preparing your teams in your multiple stores to, incorporate the new technology into the processes as Justin is talking about?
Yeah, funny you should say that. We have an advisor in our Edmonton location, one of the proactive solution training, where they've taken that really to heart, and they do almost the opposite. They go a little too far actually with the technology, right? So, but at the end of the day, being a good service advisor is about that smile on your face, and whether you're on the phone or it's hard to convey that through text or right. So the communication, again, I keep coming back to communication because it's so key, right? Being able to talk to someone and have them understand what you're trying to tell them and know that you have their best interest at heart is a hard thing to do with technology. It's not insurmountable and it can be done. But again, the other thing I think is, you asked what we're doing is we have platforms for communication with all of our dealerships, all in one central location. So I pretty much know what's going on in all the stores at all the time. And so do the BDC managers, and so do the managers, and so does Ivan, and so do the people who need to know what's going on. And we can see the chats and we can see what's going on all the time. And it's been a game changer for us, and we can pivot, we can move. Okay, well, we're a little overloaded in this area in this store. Well, let's transition a little bit. Let's transition a BDC agent over here. Let's fix the problem so that we can be successful. And it's been working quite well for us. So,
okay. And Justin, coming back to you, if I can, to kind of bring it home. Earlier, you identified several things to help focus us on. What are three things that our viewers can focus on right now today? Here we are in mid-November, maybe 6-7 weeks left in the year. Three things that we can help focus on, and then going into the new year to help bolster processes in our stores while we focus also on increasing the revenue.
Of course. Yeah, the main three things that they can really take away from today and go and implement tomorrow is, even if nothing else, the first thing, make sure that there's a consistent MPI process. It's important to huddle with your team and say, hey guys, listen, I know it can sometimes feel monotonous, or I know sometimes if you perceive that the customer's not going to buy, you don't want to do this. But having that be consistent and the customer seeing that every single time conditions them. It teaches them to look for that and to expect for things to eventually be needed on the vehicle. So the first thing I would do, make sure no matter what, every customer gets an MPI. If that means you have to make sure that they're stapling a copy to the customer, the customer's copy of the RO, and they're stapling the rest of it to your hard copy that you keep on file, and you want to spot check that, great. But that is the absolute first thing. The second thing, to go back and play off of what Chad has brought up the entire time, the communication. So the biggest complaint is that advisors don't call customers back. And there's the second thing that they can implement today to increase that communication and therefore increase CSI, put a rule in place. And we used to call it the 10, 2, and 4 rule. Even if I don't have an answer on your vehicle, I'm calling you at 10, 2, and 4. And I'm updating you and saying, hey, Ted, listen, I haven't gotten the check engine light diagnosed yet. My tech's working on it. I didn't want you to think I've forgotten about you. As soon as I know what's going on, I'm going to touch base, but I wanted to stay in communication with you. One, they appreciate that, but two, it keeps them from calling back in. And again, to your earlier point about the phones being so important, I want those to be revenue generating calls coming in, not people having to call and check on their vehicle.
Yeah.
And so the third and final thing, I'm going to go back to that active delivery. Make sure that your advisors are covering what's on the RO and setting up the next service. Our dentist office do it. Doctor's offices do it. They ask you for the next appointment. Just implement that, and them covering the RO and making sure that, like I mentioned in step 1, that multi-point inspection is there. You will see more revenue and you will see your retention go up because customers will come back.
Chad, he's so right, and you're so right. It is, at the end of the day, all about communication, isn't it?
It is indeed. Honestly, there's a lot of things that happen in a service drive-through, and communication has got to be up there near the top of the most important, in my opinion. So,
yep. And the folks who specialize in that are the people at Proactive Dealer Solutions. Justin, you work with a lot of dealerships throughout North America, all right, with a lot of success, and you've also got the latest technology. You're not shy, to use that and implement that. If our audience today wants to reach out to you folks on getting more information on how to better utilize Proactive Dealer Solutions, what's the best way for them to find out more from you folks?
Yeah, so we have a lot of information right there on our website, and you'll see at the bottom, proactivedealersolutions.com. Okay. Should you find that you want a detailed information or you want us to customize a game plan for you, we've got a lead form right there that you can fill out. Myself or one of my sales team members will get with you ASAP. We can walk you through what will be the best process for your store, because we recognize everybody's a little different, but we'll piece together what's going to be the best for you. And then the last thing, if you want to email me direct, it's jhill, JHILL, at proactivedealersolutions.com.
Chad, here in the U.S. next week is Thanksgiving, and I would typically wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, but I'll wish you a belated happy Thanksgiving, since I know you've already had that a lot earlier in October and last month.
Yes, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Justin, superhero at Proactive Dealer Solutions, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and the Proactive and Brooke.ai family as well.
You as well, Ted. We appreciate that.
Everybody, fantastic information, great information. Justin Hill from Proactive Dealer Solutions and Chad Playford here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Don't forget to use your superpowers to vote for our Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the event. Look out for Day 4 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Automotive Avengers event tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Until then, we'll be back in a snap.